Hello. All right, let's start tagging some folks on. Oh, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, this was like I wanted to make sure that when I went to Nationals, because he put these on pre-sale, James Cooper did, and I wanted to make sure that I got it and that I wouldn't have an issue getting one at Nationals, so I bought it in advance. I was like, set this one aside. It's the one I want. The dog crying in the background is my 12-year-old rescue, and she is an anxious mess right now. She just can't hack it. Cry some more. Oh yeah, pause in the boot. That's right. Yeah, yeah, we had some family stuff going on, so we definitely had family in from out of town, so that's what we were doing. Otherwise, I'd have been down there with y'all. It's for dang sure. That sounded like a lot of fun.
Hello.
What's up, baby?
Oh man, what is happening?
Woohoo! It's
We had a big weekend down there in the boot. You know what?
I heard.
Yeah, it was pretty good. The only thing that was missing was Amanda.
Yeah, it was. Matt had some family in from out of town, so we wanted to make sure that we, got to spend as much time as possible with them. So that's where we were.
That was a big deal.
Oh, definitely. 1 second. All right.
Caleb Weddle is watching, so welcome to the show, Caleb. Do get my grandbaby. Hey, pumpkin.
Oh, sorry. Hi, guys.
She is Bowser. Hey, baby, is that you, Papa? Hey, Papa.
Hello,
She's so cute.
hello.
Sorry, guys.
All right, tell her bye.
She is whining. Bye, pumpkin. Bye. Happy New Year's.
It feels
feels weird. Like my night is off because normally we have another
Luna,
hour.
I'm
And
fixing to
it's
hit you with
such routine.
electricity if you don't quit whining. That's what I'm gonna
Hey,
have to do.
Michael,
Talk to me.
don't you be hitting with no one with the electricity, my boy. You need to calm down over there. You need to calm down.
It's just a threat. It's an idle threat. It's not a reality.
Oh,
Oh man. So how are you guys' nights going so far?
good. Very good. Gyro, what's going on, man? I don't know. I don't know if that's how like you actually pronounce his name, but met him this weekend of the show. Like we've been talking back and forth on Facebook for a while, and actually got to meet him. He's got a beautiful boy off of Champion Series, but yeah, from Louisiana, real cool dude.
Nice.
Yeah,
We had a good time.
man, great time. How'd y'all do on Sunday?
We did good.
Yeah.
Lily just, dude, same as Saturday.
Whooped ass, took names.
I'm talking about like I don't know what she didn't. I don't know what she didn't win.
That's what's up, man.
I love.
She won. She won a bunch of stuff, dude. I don't want to list it necessarily. If you want me to, I will. But she definitely won best female junior handler. She won best overall junior handler. She won the women's stack off. She won best top line. She won best XL in the and then she also won she won the People's Choice. Everybody
Yes,
came over there
sir.
and cheered for her. She won that.
Yeah.
She was proud of that. And her and I together won. Yeah, they had different ones, but it was a parent and kid thing. So they had like father son, father daughter, mother daughter, whatever. It was parent and kid thing, and her and I won that. And then her and Lyric, the junior handler judge, y'all know who she is. Her and Lyric went in there as siblings and won best sibling together too.
Louise, man.
Yeah,
Killing it.
she did really good. And then I won a little bit of sanctioned stuff with pressure too. I did real good with him myself.
We're talking about Lily's accolades.
You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Because then if we bring up mine, we got to bring up yours, and you kicked my butt about most of the night.
Yeah, and then your head wouldn't fit in this frame, and it's just
Right. I'm having to sit right on the camera for my head to look bigger than yours. I'm going to back on up like this where they don't get a misconception.
Oh my God, I can't even deal with y'all.
Oh.
It's New Year's Eve, man. 2024 is on its last leg.
Caleb Miller, don't ignore. My last name is not Miller. But she said, when are we going to have a meet and greet?
Yeah, she's trying to get you in the title host.
Mark Davis.
Not
hope he gets on
soon.
Oh, I love him.
I like going to
so
him.
Sweet.
I like
so sweet.
He is sweet.
Good dude.
Good evening, Adam Fields.
Uh-huh. Hey, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, man.
Yeah. What a year. What a time.
Oh my God, yeah. What a time to be alive, right?
Yeah.
A lot of good, a lot of bad. That's just part of having a year, though.
Exactly. Every year will be like that.
Oh.
Like, depends on what you take of it.
Christina Higgason, hello.
You're like, hello, wife.
Hello. Hello, baby.
What's up, girl?
Happy New Year's Eve. Yeah.
Oh, Travis Gaspard. I am praying for this dude. I am praying he finds the man of his dreams, and I'm also praying that he just, Lord, that he just finds happiness. That he just finds happiness.
Hey, look, no, everybody deserves a little bit of it. You know what?
Thank you.
Yes,
Scott Mosby, what's up, man?
Travis is an awesome dude. One of the most loyal, cool dudes, man. And me and him just go at it on Facebook. It's fun.
Yeah.
Good
Hey,
cat. Good cat.
Scott Mosby did his thing this weekend, man.
Yes,
Really
he did, man. Pause in the boot 2.0, 3.0, I'm sure is already in the works. Knowing Scott, everyone come out next year. It's always the last show of the year in Sulphur, Louisiana. Man, incredible venue. That was, y'all had it set up very, very well. Vendors, plenty of space, four rings. I left.
something.
I had
It
a
was
smile
nice
on
to
my
have a
face the
hotel
entire
directly
time.
across the street too.
Ooh, right there, walking distance. Huge venue.
Yeah, every time
Like,
someone posted like a video of any aspect of that show, in inside or out, I was just it was just I missed it. I hate that I missed that because there's just it's a beautiful venue. Everything's at the everything's available at the ready. Seemed pretty cool. Seemed pretty darn cool.
Lily was so happy after the show. She was just like,
So 10.
I did good, Dad. I'm like, you did so good, baby.
Yes.
She did so good. Now I feel like a bad dad because I don't have room for any of her trophies.
Make room.
I mean, I already have made room, and then I'm making more room, and now I'm running out of room.
Yeah. Hey, Christina. Hey, great point. Man, shout out to Scott's wife. Like, she was there, right there. She is the backbone of that. She was right there, at the front, giving tickets, seeing what booth, making sure everything ran properly. And man, shout out to Mrs. Mosby, because normally the woman is the backbone of the operation. Michael, I know me and you can both attest to it. Amanda's
100%.
is a little different. She's not, it's more of her husband that's the backbone over there, but she's just different.
Yeah, I will
Little...
say that
your cooler half is behind you.
I will say that Tina's a superstar too, man. She's a super cool chick. Definitely made every part she was involved in a lot easier than if somebody else had done it. And she's got some other skills that added to the after party for everybody there. I think we got some strawberry banana Kool-Aid, we'll say, and it was very nice. Very nice.
That's what's up. Well, why are we getting him on the show? What's the next show that y'all are going to start the year? I know there's some coming up in January, especially February, but what shows y'all looking at going to?
Lily wants to go to ICBR Nationals. It's not until March. I don't think she'll have a shot at placing in the top for points for the year, but she does have a shot at winning it. Yeah. So, we're excited about that. I know she wants to do that. I don't know, man.
Rumble in the jungle.
My wife said rumble in the jungle.
Hey, that is one. June Williams, shout out. He is definitely putting on. He promotes. He makes it. It's a wave. And it's a wave that you want to get on and go to and experience. And, man, shout out to him, because he's self-made. Like he's literally really brought himself to the degree that he's at, and constantly promoting and getting booked for show after show. Like we've been lucky enough to see him at multiple shows. I actually got one, like that big old trophy over there in the corner. That was actually handed from June Williams in Mississippi, Bully Bash 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the pictures when y'all got that last year.
Yeah, man.
Hey, she's making you look good, brother.
She's doing all the hard work. She is.
I'm talking about. She just amped the room up 100%.
Yes.
My little niece back there lighting the room up over there in Alabama.
Man, she is so cool. Like, she plays football, man, basketball. She just got done playing football. Yeah.
So I took a picture of the veteran. Look, listen. If there's ever anybody that knows how to carry themselves at a show, her and her sister, let me tell you something. They had the most cozy cubby holes I've ever seen in my life set up in Caleb's booth and Nakai's booth up there, right next to me. So, like, they had, like, one of those little wheelbarrow deals turned into a pallet watching, getting their screen time in, and one of them had another little pallet made out, and they were just, man, snug as a bug. I mean, looking so
Mm-hmm.
comfortable.
Oh yeah.
I even took a picture of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
like
did. I
no
was
one
Yeah,
even
I'll
happy
show
bothered
you
to
later,
clean
to
it
Amanda.
see
today.
that.
They were laid up so good. I was like, dang, y'all got the best seats in the house.
Yeah.
Sounds like they did.
Yeah, they really did. I was impressed.
Hmm.
Well, I got Freya in heat right now. She's got the whole house in an uproar.
Yeah,
The
man.
boys crying.
Oh, he's just a whining, pitiful man.
They're pitiful. They're the worst. They're the
Oh,
worst.
he's the worst. He can't hardly sleep. He's panting all day long like it's 100 degrees in here, knowing it ain't but 68 degrees at best in this house.
Being a big old
Oh,
pansy.
he's a big old pansy, just whining all day long. But,
That's what
Daddy,
they
please,
do.
please, Daddy.
You're fine.
Hello.
That is
He's
one
really-
beautiful beard, sir.
I
Hello.
told you this is going to be battle of the beards. All right,
Hey, there's
because
been a lot.
we've had some
I just want y'all
luxurious
to know
beards on this
there's
show.
been a lot of
So
talk about beards lately, and it's gotten right under my feathers a little bit. So I'm
oh, you
coming
go,
on
Barry.
back out. So if y'all got beards, you better get your game up because my beard don't play around. I'm just telling you.
I had to trim
Uh,
about 4 inches off of mine. I was at a deadlock, like it would not get any longer, so I just trimmed 4 inches off a couple weeks ago. We'll see what happens now.
You know that's
man.
so I learned something interesting about beards. Some people have like a length limit. Not everybody does. Some people's beards will just grow and grow and grow, and some people's will grow to a certain length. It don't matter how long they grow it, it'll stop.
Yeah, and I think that's what mine did. It was like a year. I got no length after that.
I
Man, mine will
wish
get
I had
down to
the
about
stopping.
right here in a year. And it ain't I ain't been able to endure getting it long enough to stop yet. Mine just keeps mine grows so fast.
Mine got about, yeah, it was probably about down here to where it said Stackomania, but that was it. I mean, once it got there, it was no longer.
Well, dude, happy New Year's, man.
Happy New
Yeah.
Year's to you guys.
Yes, man. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Before we get rolling, we've got a deadline to meet, so I don't want anybody to miss out on it. If anybody is wanting to go to the Cinco de Mayo Bully Bash 2 in Troy, Alabama, on May, I want to say it's 3rd, 8th, yes, 7th or 8th, whichever that weekend is. But I also
Yeah.
put the link to that event in the comments as well. But she is running a special right now, Candy Avia. She is running a special right now until midnight,
Midnight
where
today.
you can get a booth for $50 off, and all you owe. So it's kind of a two deal where you get $50 off of the normal booth price of the tier that you're getting, and on top of that, instead of having to pay all of it up front, you're only paying half up front now, and then the other half by April 1st. So go ahead and you can get a hold of Candy. Just reach out to her. Go to the event page. Again, that link is in the comments. But you have until midnight tonight. I'm assuming she means our time, Central. So until midnight tonight to take advantage of that deal. So I wanted to make sure that I pitched that out before we got started. But without further ado. This is your first time on our show. I don't know if you've seen any of our episodes before this. So the format's pretty casual. Just a bunch of weirdos talking dogs. But how we like to start out is we like to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, your kennel name, and what, like business-wise, what you do in the bully world, and then what actually got you into bullies in the first place.
All right,
Take it.
so I'm Brad the Beard. We are from Bando Bullies out of Indiana. Kennel partner Corrine Dunn lives about 30 minutes away from me in Kokomo. What got me into the bullies? That's rough. I've had American Pit Bull Terriers my whole life. My last one died when I was like, I think it was about 2017, and I had her for like 12 years. So I got her right when I was released out of prison back in 2009, and she lived with me basically when I was homeless all the way up till I owned my own business. So she was kind of there with me through everything.
Wow.
Sold on.
When she died, I was pretty hurt. So I was like, I'm never getting another dog again, ever. And
Oh,
then like 4 years later, I got introduced to the bullies. Just fell in love. Ended up getting two of them. And then I think it was probably, I mean, I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. I bought 2, and then within like a year, I think I had probably 15. A lot of those I ended up, yeah. So as time went on, a lot of those I
Yeah.
honed out and did what needed to be done. Because once I started learning it, I mean, I started going to every show possible, really studying all the groups, all the pedigrees,
Yeah.
Seeing what people were creating with which bloods, and kind of trying to track like different health issues and stuff. So I changed my direction quite a few times in the first couple of years, and now we're kind of where we're at now with it.
It's something you get into these dogs because you love them and they're beautiful, and you and I have so much in common, man. I cut my teeth with pit bulls, man, and raised around them and the whole deal, and and I was so biased at first. If I'm being honest, I was like, "That's not a pit bull," and they're like, "Yeah, it's actually not a pit bull," and I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
You were that
yeah,
guy?
that's right, it's not." And then I was like, well, let me take a look at these dogs, man, because some people I really respected had a lot to say about them, and I got to researching and realized like, oh, they're actually everything I wish a pit bull was.
Yes.
Truthfully, and I love pit bulls. I got one right here on the couch by me, but they're all the things that you wish you could make adjustments on with a pit bull. That's what a bully is, man, and I am in love with the breed, dude. I'm glad to hear your story of triumph, man, and resurrection, brother. That's a big deal.
It is.
It was a long road, but we're in a better place now.
That's right. That's right. Hey,
Perseverance.
can't appreciate what you got, man, unless you come from
Yeah.
something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's, I wouldn't, if given the opportunity, I wouldn't change a thing about my past. I mean, everything that's happened, every mistake I've made, I wouldn't change none of it, because that's kind of what shaped me into what I am today. So
Strength comes
Absolutely.
from struggle, my
yeah.
brother.
Really
I
does.
love that.
It
That's
That's
a
really
the
does.
mindset you
fact. Well,
need.
you're shining now, man. So tell us a little bit about your program and what you got going on today.
So we got, trying to think, we got probably, we're well under 20 dogs now. At one point, I mean, we had 34. So this is back in 20, about 21 is when I first started like really buying the bullies. And I owned a furniture store at the time. So we ended up selling our furniture store, closing it down right after COVID. There was too much of an issue, like getting inventory, things like that. So we shut it down, went full fledged with the dogs, built outdoor kennels, indoor kennels, did all kinds of stuff. And just kind of stuck with the dogs for the most part. At one point, we probably had about 35 or 36. And I mean, it was to the point where my daily work was me putting in more hours than I did at the furniture store, and it was too much. So we kind of downsized, really started refocusing. First got in, I wanted to create the extreme dogs, the big, overly done dogs, and I still like those dogs, but now I'm kind of trying to find that middle ground. I want a dog to have the
Yeah.
exaggerated features, but I want the dog to perform in the show ring like a big 20-inch
There we
standard.
go.
I mean,
I like that.
I want them to glide while standing out and making people say, "Wow." That's kind of where
Yeah.
we're at.
Oh. Well, so you put on a great performance with Wishbone at
And
Nationals.
Thank
Wow.
congratulations, champion
you.
Wishbone. Like,
Thank
Yes,
you.
congratulations.
definitely.
Put some respect on the name, Amanda.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
That's
yes,
what's
I,
up. You
I,
earned
I was
it,
champion.
there for
He
man.
that.
gained
That
he
was
gained
that was
he
nice.
gained a new
At
title that day. He
Nationals?
was already titled. He's already a grand.
Yeah,
Really?
From what I understand. So he
yeah.
got his ABKC champion title in that ring
That's what's
that
up.
day at
At
Nationals.
Nationals, it
Beautiful.
was. He actually, and in my eyes, he got it twice, because I went in there thinking that I needed 40 points. So we won our age group. We won best male. We won best pocket. So I'm like, yes, he's a champion. So I run up and grab Regina. I'm like, hey, can you double check, before I
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
this post, make sure he's a champion. She goes back and she looks and she comes back. She's like, he had 100 points before today, so he needs 50. So I'm like, shit. So I'm like, I still got to get the best of winners, right? So I'm like, I was a nervous wreck at that show. I mean, it was,
You couldn't
I've never
tell.
been, I've
You
been
had
to the
you had your
jungle, and
Viking on, like you know what you didn't look like you were sweating it too much. Like
it
you
was,
looked pretty confident.
it
That's a
was a
fact.
big stage, man. And the competition, like, when they called 1 to 2 pockets, I mean, I went and grabbed Wishbone, and like, as I'm walking to the ring, but I was over there watching the fun show. So I was running back to grab him. And I run by the main ring, and there's only like 2 or 3 dogs in there. And I'm like, man, those are some nice dogs. Well, before I get Wishbone out of the cage and get to the ring, now there's like 16 nice dogs in there. And I'm like, I walk in towards the back of the line. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is wild. So
Yeah.
yeah, it
To
was
beat the
something.
best of the best to earn that
Yeah,
title, like, man, respect.
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
Man, he looked good too,
when we
man.
went,
Golly.
he had twisted something in his leg just a few weeks before, right before BullyCon, and he had a real bad limp on the back left leg. You know, of course, the leg facing the judge, it's a horrible limp, right? So
Yeah.
Hans is like, "You're still taking him, you're going," and I kept trying to talk myself out of it. I'm like, man, I'm not going to take him down there, and people be recording him, and he's got a limp, and Hans is like, "You're going." So I'm like, "All right, we're going." So when he picked me up, the whole plan was just to take him down there. We was going to stack him up next to some of the other dogs, get a lot of pictures, and just promote him through stack
Wow.
offs. And we get to the hotel, and James Abba's outside, and they're practicing with Miss Piggy. And Hans is like, "Jim, watch Wishbone when he gates him. See what you think if you can see a
Yeah.
limp." And James is like, "It's not noticeable to me. Show him." So that's
Wow.
basically why we
That's
showed
why
him.
you went in the ring.
That's
So you weren't going to.
Wow.
no,
Wow.
Thank
no.
you,
I had
James.
no
Yeah.
Thank you, James.
intentions of being in that
James,
ring. And then even,
James a
even
full
before I went in
soldier.
the ring, I
God.
told Hans, I'm like, if I just place at Nationals, I'll be happy. Like, you can give me third place and I'm going to be
Is
happy.
Hans who had that little bitty dog that
Yeah.
did so well?
Grand champion, little Debbie.
Yep.
Yeah,
Little Debbie.
Yep.
Debbie. Yeah,
Yes.
man, that's a good
She
looking little
bad.
dog, man.
She
She
is
bad too. Oh my God.
probably one of my favorite dogs in the world.
She
That
is
dog
so
is,
cool, man.
And,
What a great personality
yeah,
on that little
being
dog.
her in
I call her
person was wicked. I mean, those pictures just don't do it. They
she's
really just don't.
the
And wish,
teacup bully.
yeah, for real. Like when you think purse bully.
Yeah.
Samantha.
Throw
Hey,
that little bitch in the
Samantha and
purse.
Hans. Shout out. I love what they're
Oh,
doing over there, man. Hans
yeah.
is such a cool dude. We got to get him on here too. We got to give him his own
Oh
Tuesday.
yeah, he was. He's in whelping mode right now.
They've
How
had
many
litter
puppies do they
after
have on the ground?
litter.
Like 20,000 or something
They
like that. It's
they've got
crazy.
over
Yeah,
20 right now. Yeah. So
it's
they're in
insane.
full-fledged work mode.
Yeah, bless his heart. Like I mean, she went and showed, and I mean, what an honor that was that she received, and she did a great job while she was there, and so that was just what a rewarding. That's just amazing.
That dog, the first time we went to Rumble in the Jungle, me and Hans, we had a bus from work, like a little short bus, and we took that down there. And little Debbie, I mean, she just, the whole time, she's like running from seat to seat, jumping up in the seats with people and
Yeah,
laying down on, she's
that was
just,
fun.
we got these big dogs that are like afraid to walk down the steps to get in and out of the bus, and little Debbie's just
She's
running
just,
up and down them like they're not even there.
All
oh
right.
yeah,
She's,
Sliding up and down the
yeah,
steps.
she's
she's
a cool dog.
crazy. Yeah, she's fearless. It's definitely a sight to see, see someone or see a dog that's that small but that active, that well-rounded, that balanced. So yeah,
Complete.
she's
Yes.
definitely a fantastic specimen. So,
Yeah,
but
she's awesome.
but to you, sir, I Wishbone, what is his lineage? I forgot to ask you that after
So
nationals.
Wishbone is, okay, so we had, my partner Kareen had a female named Sassy. She was all Louis V blood. It was a hero daughter. She was bred to Colossal. We had Devon, Bubba Ray, and my female Duchess. So Duchess came here to live. Bubba Ray came here to live. Devon stayed with Kareen. We they was turning out phenomenal. I mean, at a year old, they were just like, the whole litter was crazy. I mean,
Dude, I'm
Colossal and Louis
so
V really,
impressed with that colossal blood, man. Golly.
it clicked really, really good, or so we thought. There was some health issues that didn't click so well in the breeding, but the overall the pheno was just amazing. But
Yeah.
Duchess always had like this strong, crazy rear. Like her rear is better than most of the males I see, and better than almost all my males before Wishbone. Like I've never had a male with as nice of a rear as Duchess. So I kind of wanted to lock in some of her things, and I was going to do the taboo. I was going to take her back to one of her littermate brothers. Like I was that impressed with certain genes and certain things that were coming out that I was willing to, have a few dogs that would have been pet homed in order to get the one where I was really locked in.
Right.
So that was the plan. We had decided on Devon. He was the chocolate boy. He had his rear was nice, his fronts were nice, everything was nice. He didn't have any of like the dwarfism toes or none of
Right.
that. So I was like, Devon is going to be the one. Well, we something ended up happening to where we couldn't use Devon like 3 days before she was ready to be bred. And so I'm like scrambling at this point. I'm like, okay, I got 3 days left. I don't have anything else lined up that's going to match with this breeding. And Karine had done a breeding with Devon to our girl Megan, which is a soul daughter, and he had a boy named Optimus Prime. So we ended up taking, basically it was Duchess back to her littermate brother's son, which was Optimus Prime. So it's line bred Colossal, line bred Hero.
Yeah.
Everybody had already been embarked. Like we didn't have to worry about none of the CRD1 or none
Right.
of that stuff that was
Right.
a big
Doubling up on
concern at that
anything.
time. So that
Nah,
is the lineage.
that's impressive. Do you, so how old is he now?
He is 17 months. He'll be 18 months January 20th.
Dude, wait till he's like
I
26
know.
months.
Knowing
Yeah.
that he ain't done
Yeah.
yet is terrifyingly
True.
awesome.
That truthfully, as hard as it's going to be that patient at like 30 months, 32 months, he's going to be a special
Well,
dog.
that's what scares
Yeah.
me the most. Like he's 88 pounds. I mean, he fluctuates from like 85 to 88 pounds, and
Wow.
he's 17 months. Like
Yeah.
all my other dogs, they'll eat like 2 to 3 pounds of raw. I'll give him 3 pounds of raw, and he like eats the bowl and looks at me like, "Excuse me, sir, where's the rest?"
Yeah.
I mean,
He said, I'd like some more. Except a
Dessert,
little bit more
sir?
forceful, I imagine.
So you're a big fan of the raw? Do you do raw most of the time?
I'm 100% raw. We did Inuk for a long time. We was ordering it by the pallet. I ran into an issue with the Inuk. Not 100% sure if it was the Inuk or if it was something else that caused the issue. We almost lost Wishbone. He had to be admitted to Purdue. He
Ooh,
was there for like a week. I had a lot of other dogs that ended up with issues.
Was it
yeah.
diarrhea?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we reached out to our sales rep and we're like, hey, we're having these issues.
Yeah.
We've done fecal samples and we're coming up with Campylobacter. Well, Campylobacter is like real common in seafood, right? I'm feeding the salmon Inuk, so I'm like,
Mm.
okay. So I'm trying to get it all figured out before we got it, figured out to where we could test the bags. We didn't have any unopened bags left. So like the state, Purdue University ended up getting a hold of the state, and they came to my house and they're like, they wanted to see the dog setups to make sure it wasn't environmental. I mean, so we showed them
Jeez.
the
Yeah, they
kennels,
want to.
we showed them how we feed, like their hanging
Yeah.
bowls. I mean, we showed them everything. And then we had a couple empty bags, and they're like, we probably won't find any traces if it's an empty bag. We really need some of the kibble.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I can never prove what it was, but I know in my heart what it was because it all started like 3 days after we got a new pallet. We'd been feeding this for a long time.
Right.
And it was, we got a new pallet, and within 3 days, me and quite a few of my customers all just have water diarrhea that's dehydrating the dogs, and it was rough.
Mm. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, you took quick action, and I'm actually I'm impressed, very impressed
Quick
with
action and
the response.
extensive action. Extensive action. Like you
Extensive, yeah,
having them come to your house, show
yeah.
how you're feeding, show the environment to
Mhm.
make sure, like rule things out.
Yeah.
That's respect.
Yeah,
Huge
I'll
respect.
tell you what, man. Kibble's a dangerous thing. If you get to looking up stuff,
it is. It's
you look at all the recalls and all the like. Pick your favorite one and look at recalls. It'll break your heart.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like but here's the thing about raw. You can't just throw it in a bowl and then like you do kibble and not do your research. Even though people should do research on kibble, like raw, you really need to do like a good bit of homework, man,
Yeah.
to learn how to balance that diet, to learn how to be safe, and to deworm properly and all that stuff. But I prefer raw for my dogs.
Deworming and sanitizing is another big one. Like I don't
Big.
people if you're feeding raw, you have to be washing them bowls after every feeding.
Yeah.
You can't, feed 10 dogs and just stack them bowls on the table and think you're going to use them again the next day. That's a recipe for disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, yeah. Mm.
I'll tell you a thing that people don't factor in a lot with raw. If you've got, say, 10 dogs or more, you think you can get all that meat out on the table and prep all your meals? If you think you can get all that prep work done before your meat's been sitting out too long, you're wrong.
Yep.
So people do that. They make a Sunday out of it, get it all out on the table, start making portions. Next thing you know, you've had chicken out of the refrigerator for 4 hours,
Mm-hmm.
6 hours. Real easy, man, and not think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's another risky one. What do you do like a daily dewormer with your
Uh,
raw?
no, we do once a month, and we switch it up. So we'll switch. Basically, the first of every month, we'll either switch from we'll do Pyrantel 1 month, and we'll switch to Fenbendazole. I can't remember the other one right now. And then we also get this 3-way dewormer from the Amish out in Pennsylvania that I absolutely love. So about
Cool.
every 4 months, we'll do 3 days in a row with that 3-way dewormer.
We do a little bit of a different system than that. So I like to try to go as natural as I can. And I've found my pops actually breeds bird dogs, and the bird dogs that he breeds, they've been doing it for so long that there aren't any on the planet that are not connected to his kennel alive. Like that's how they've been doing it for 62 years.
Wow.
And they found out the hard way that fenbendazole, it's really good stuff, but there's a type of hookworm that it doesn't cover, and that's what I was using at one point. Now, especially if you're on concrete, it's not as big of a threat. Just dogs scrambling around in the yard. But if you got dirt under their feet, you need to take a look at it. But what we use is that safeguard that's actually for goats.
Yep.
And it'll get them all, hookworms and everything.
That's the one
But
we use. The big
yellow
bottle
and
with the goat
green,
on
like
it.
yellow
Yep.
and green, with the goats
Yep.
on it. So that's my favorite one. But every day I had to learn a little bit about the research of it. But if you Google it, it'll tell you it's toxic for dogs. But it's not accurate, man. They did a study in Japan and they gave dogs like added amounts of cloves of garlic until one of them had a reaction. Well, they gave the dog like 13 or 16 cloves of garlic and it got sick and threw it up. And they're like, oh, it's toxic for dogs. Like, that's quite a bit of garlic, man. I'd probably throw up too.
Yeah.
But you can take garlic and diatomaceous earth, the food grade diatomaceous earth, and put it on every meal. And that food grade diatomaceous earth, if you put it under a microscope, it looks like glass. But it's like sand in a way, but it's like fine powder. It's almost like baby powder when you pour it out of the bag, but it's under a microscope, it looks like glass, and it'll clean out the lines of the intestines, all parasites and stuff like that. And the garlic, if you take a fresh clove of garlic and crush it, you can slice it or crush it. It right off the bat, it has something in it that's called alum, and alum is toxic for dogs. But if you crush it and let it sit out in the open air for 15 to 20 minutes, it turns into allicin. And allicin is actually an antifungal, antibacterial, antiparasitic, antimicrobial, and all that stuff. So you can take that crushed garlic and that diatomaceous earth, and that's like a good every day with every meal of raw dewormer. And we did that for about a year with no problems, man. Safeguard, like the label requests, and then did that garlic and diatomaceous every day, man. And that saved us a lot of money.
I just seen a recipe. I'm on a lot of the raw groups, and somebody shared a recipe the other day of I took a screenshot. It's black pepper, garlic, and turmeric powder, and they swear by they use that once a week and never have. Basically, they don't even deworm their dogs. They're like, this is the only thing we give them once a week. We've never dewormed.
Yeah, that's the guy Raul Fagundes that actually taught me this recipe. That's what he does, and I'll tell you what, it's a good one, man. Turmeric's great for your dogs. If you hit me up on Messenger, I'll send you. My wife made a list of all the herbs that are good for dogs and what they're for. Peppermint for the stomach, turmeric for inflammation, and so on and so forth. But she's
that.
I'll send all y'all that. She's went and did the homework, man, and got it all mapped out. And we go get them cut fresh from this apothecary, this local apothecary that's got all these fresh herbs and stuff. And so, we just dose up different stuff depending on what the dog's got going on. And I like it like that, the natural way.
And we do we got one other thing we do for cleansing the stomach. We'll give the dogs about twice a year. We'll feed them whole deer legs. So we do we do a lot of deer hunting, so we cut the legs off, from the knee down, and
What
we throw those
what
in the freezer
what
until
does
we
that
need
do for
them,
the
and then
stomach? What does that do? You say clean the
it's
stomach.
it's almost like a Brillo pad. So they eat the fur, they eat the tendons, they eat everything out of there, and then when that passes through their system, all that hair basically it's like a wire brush that goes through their stomach.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I've
good
researched
info.
it. Some people use rabbit's feet, some people use other things,
Seen
but
that. Hmm.
they eat, that fur. It creates basically like a wire brush, and when it
Yeah.
goes through their stomach, it can get rid of certain parasites and things like that.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
there's
that's
this
Brad,
cool.
also.
lady that was I met at Nationals, Courtney Love.
Yeah.
She sells rabbit feet, and I remember like seeing them in the pouches at Nationals. Is like and then to find
Yep.
out what they're used for, I was like, oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I wouldn't want to touch them because I still have a weird thing about I can't even do chicken feet. Like my dogs don't get chicken feet because I can't do it. It's they suffer. They suffer because of their mother. But it's just
The
apparently I don't
toenails,
like
the
feet.
toenails.
Mine get a lot of deer. They get a lot of deer.
Hmm.
I like that.
Yeah,
So
Ice
once a
House said
year,
you can do full
recommended
rabbits too.
once a year to do something like that, or is it?
Twice a year,
Can
he
you only
said.
do it so often? Twice a year?
I mean, you could probably do it more. I only have so many deer legs, and I have a lot of dogs, so they love it. I
Like,
mean, like when they see me walking through the yard, I got a 5-gallon bucket and deer legs hanging out of it. So like they know everybody's about to get a deer leg thrown in their run. I mean, they're pacing and jumping.
Oh my God.
They just go right
Peter
to
would
it.
be freaking
Yeah,
out.
they eat the whole hoof. The hoof has a oh man, I can't think of it right now, but the hoof also has like some real good minerals for the dogs,
Mm-hmm.
and they eat that
Yeah, Ice
whole
House,
thing.
Ice House Boys said that you can throw a whole rabbit down too, fur and all.
Yep.
Yep.
Dang.
way too much work with little reward. Hey, Brad, I love this info, but also you were saying that you use a different dewormer. You cycle through them.
Yeah.
Why do you do that, and why do you do it more often with raw? Just so everyone can kind of get a gist of what you're speaking on.
So with the raw, they recommend. Some people deworm a lot more than me. I've just once a month has just worked for me.
Yeah.
But if you're deworming every month with say the fenbendazole or the pyrantel, like your worms and parasites can kind of build a resistance to that stuff, and the more we use it, it just
There we go.
basically becomes useless to them. Like it's going in
Yes.
them, but it's not doing anything. So we just do it to switch it up. It works for us. It might not work for somebody else, but it works for us.
And I want to hit on that because I completely agree with you, and you're absolutely right. But that was very good. I didn't want to skip over that topic.
Yeah, that's a good point. Cycling through them keeps the parasites from building an immunity to it for sure.
Exactly.
And so, what was other than that parental? What is the other one you mentioned? It was a three-way.
Three-way, yeah.
There's a three. There's one other dewormer, like main dewormer. There's fenbendazole, pyrantel, and then there's oh my gosh, I don't know why my brain ain't working right now.
Yep, and Safeguard, and then there was another one, the three-way one.
Let me see.
No, I can't even think of it.
That's what I'm googling it now because my brain just
I
ain't
know, I'm
working.
sorry, because I'm trying to put links in the comments to the things that we're mentioning, the Diatomaceous earth,
A lot of good info. A lot of good info being
Oh,
dropped.
absolutely,
I think it's
absolutely. I just want to make sure.
Drontal. I
Huh?
think it's Drontal. Drontal, is that the one I'm
Yeah,
thinking of?
Johnson Plus.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. That's what I was, because that was the one I was just like, I swear that's probably it, because it would just make sense. But perfect. Okay, let me put that in the comments as well. So guys, if you're listening, as he's mentioning these awesome things, he is feeding his dogs as far as dewormers, preventatives, things like that. I'm putting the links in the comments.
And the raw, do you mix it yourself? Do you purchase it bulk order? Like, how does that go? Because
We get it from so we get our raw from a slaughterhouse in Wisconsin, and they have like 35 different blends. They basically supply like any online place that you see that sells raw. They get their raw from this place, and then they package it and do all the shipping. So we buy it in 30-pound boxes. It's cheaper that way. We get there's two 15-pound bricks in a box, and we usually get like 3,000 to 4,000 pounds at a time.
how many?
About 3,000 to 4,000 pounds at a time.
Wow.
Like we just got delivery last night. I think it was 3,400 pounds or something. So
And how long does that last you?
I go through about 60 pounds a day, but we have delivery, so we deliver to people in Pennsylvania. We got to take some to Hans tomorrow. I got a lot of people that we deliver to.
That's
Yeah,
what's up.
because it's
Yeah,
ours
that's
is
sweet.
so they're both beef blends. The one is 70%. Yeah, 70% beef, 10% tripe, 10% bone, 10% organ. And then the our premium is like more of a balanced organ, so it's like 2.5% heart, 2% liver, 2% spleen. Everything's broke down more, plus the 10% tripe. That one's like a more well-rounded raw. We don't have
So
to have.
is it all ground up
Yeah,
already?
yeah. Everything's ground. We do double ground on the bone so that the chunks aren't so big.
Is that something you request from them to have it double ground?
We request the double ground because we had a few of our dogs, like they eat it so fast, and then like later on they're constipated. They got
Yeah.
too much bone,
Yeah.
like they're just so the double ground. I mean, it probably don't make a difference. I just do it for peace of mind
Oh yes,
because I
sometimes that's all it takes.
yeah, I feed our
It's small
puppies and
things for
everything.
sure.
Like by the time our puppies are 5 weeks old, I mean I've got them on basically all raw. So
Now,
Yeah.
do you know if that beef is dairy or Angus?
uh,
Probably
I
all
think
of the above.
it's a mixture.
It'd be,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I know that's what they say. So 24 days ish, come off of mama and go on mush, which is a mix between milk and raw for
Yep,
a week or so, and then go full fledged raw, man.
yep.
Yep.
That's
Also,
that's what we do.
also when dogs once they get their big teeth, they can crush bones too.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
As soon as they get their adult teeth.
I try to stay away from kibble as much as possible, but I have noticed too. So I don't know if anybody else that feeds 100% raw has noticed, but certain dogs, the raw, it doesn't do anything for their midsection. Like I've had a few dogs that will just put muscle on muscle, like head, neck, shoulders,
Yeah.
and then like you look at the midsection. I mean, it looks like you're starving the dog. Like
Yeah.
some
They're
dogs,
They're
tough
so
they just
yeah.
lean with raw sometimes.
yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a few dogs. I think I have 3 right now that I'm getting ready to either start adding duck fat or I'm just going to have to break
Heck
down and go against
yeah.
my religion and buy some kibble to mix with those.
Duck duck fat's a good way to
Yeah,
go. That's a great. Yeah. We actually have a meat market right down the road here that does all the local farmers and stuff, and I can get bags of bones with pretty good bit of meat on it too, but I can get big bags of like hefty bags full of beef bones to make beef broth or any of that. And they'll actually cut some stuff up for me if I have the meat, but they don't furnish it like that though. They don't sell it.
somebody said, do you notice less shedding with the raw? Yes,
Hell
a
yeah.
lot
That's the
less shedding.
That's the main. To me. Like I thought something was wrong with my dogs, man, because my dogs get in your lap before you leave the house. You better change because it's gonna be shed all over you. But when they're eating raw,
Yep.
it's not a
Like
problem at all, man. They don't hardly shed at all.
I think it's about twice a year is when I'll notice a shed. It's like when it first starts going from hot to cold, and then as it starts to warm up again, they're kind of losing. But other than that, I don't see it. Now so when we first started feeding raw, we was doing it for about 4 days, and when our dogs are outside in the runs during the summer, like we're out there a few times a day changing their water out. Like we'll dump it out as it gets warm, give everybody fresh water.
Yeah.
So the first few days of feeding raw, like I'd go out and I'm like, man, this dog didn't drink no water. Like none of my dogs were drinking water. So I'm
Thought
like, I'm freaking out.
something
Like,
was wrong at
Yeah.
first, didn't you?
yeah, I FaceTime Danielle. I'm like, come out here. I said, there's literally the bowl is still like the water is still coming over the top of it from when I filled it this morning. Like they're not touching the water.
I went
Something's wrong. So
through the same
I
thing, man.
sit down and Google it, and
It's
it's
a
like,
panic
yeah,
button
your dog
for
is.
like,
I'd
"Oh,
have to wear my dogs out where they have cotton mouth, like with the flirt pole.
just
I'm
Yep.
talking about
to get them to drink."
wear them down where like if I don't bring them in, they'll lay down in the yard and won't even play anymore. If I get them to that point, I'll get in, then they'll drink some water. But just like walking around day to day, chilling and stuff, they're not gonna drink no water at all, man.
No, I mean it could be 100 degrees out, and like after you feed the dog raw, I mean they're just going to lay there in front of the fan, and they're not going to drink
That's
no water.
a fact.
That
And
was
they
freaking
and they
out.
only really poop once a day.
Yeah, the pooping once a day. That's my favorite part. Like
Yeah, that's a
I love that.
big deal.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
I'll bet.
Yeah. And it's not that much too. It's not like St. Bernard piles or
No,
anything. It's like I know. There was a time or two I was like, is that from the cat or is that from the dog?
Yeah, it's like you get a few like oversized goat pellets that looks like
Yeah.
chalk. You know, you go to
So the
pick it
body's
up and it
taking
just
all of it. Yeah.
crumbles in the paper towel. You're like, oh,
Mhm.
this is nice.
That was the biggest. I know it sounds weird, but that was one of the things I was the most impressed about. Besides the shedding, was a big deal with us, but the waste that was coming out afterwards was so minimal in comparison to kibble. I almost got to a point where I'm like, if it wasn't for the water content, I'd almost want to weigh it and
Yeah,
see, like, because kibble, they have to be crapping out everything they're putting in. I mean, in comparison to raw, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
yeah. I thought about that a lot. Like, how do I feed my dog 4 cups of kibble in a day, but every day he poops 6 cups of poop? Like, where's this other 2 cups coming from? I mean,
From
It's all the kibble
yesterday.
and
From
the
yesterday.
water.
man, I just couldn't get over that fact. And
Mm.
and the kibble does it almost like dehydrates the dog. Like, when a dog eats kibble, it's like as soon as they're done eating, they go straight to drinking because it's just so
Dry.
dry and fluffy.
Mhm.
I love
Yeah.
my wife. She's just stirring up conversation here because
She
she already
is.
knows the answer to this. But
She's taking Adam's
yeah,
job tonight.
yeah, she
Normally
is.
it's Adam
She
asking questions.
she said, "How do you transition one from kibble to raw when you started feeding raw diet?"
I mean, just mixing a little bit of kibble, but like my adults, I probably couldn't transition them again, to be honest, because I'm sure eventually they're going to get hungry and eat it. But I think it was about 2 months ago, we ran out of raw and it was going to be like 3 days before we could get more because I miscalculated what I had in the freezer. Somebody else called me. I sold them a couple $100, and then lo and behold, I'm out. So I went and got me some kibble and like gave everybody a bowl and hung it in their runs. And then like everybody just stares at me. They didn't touch
Yeah,
it. Like,
like 24 hours before they even
This
tried it.
yeah, they're like,
No, she's
yeah.
talking about going from kibble to raw.
Okay. So from kibble to raw, we just did, like we'd put about 2 cups of kibble in their bowls, and then we would put, just basically put the raw all the way on top, and then kind of stir it up to where they could still smell the kibble on top, but as they eat it, they're eating the raw. And
Yeah.
we got lucky. I mean, none of our dogs showed
Resisted.
any hesitation. I mean, once they got that taste of the raw, they was hooked.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you phase one in and phase the other out with percentages. We also have used sauerkraut, sour cream, and pumpkin to kind of get the probiotics and prebiotics established in the dog's stomach to prepare them for what's in the raw over the kibble.
Yep.
That I think that's the other thing that's really important. Um, your dog's microbiome is not really sound enough to handle the raw without a little bit of you know preparation.
Yep.
So
Especially, yeah, like what you just said with the pumpkin. I think that is 100%
Yep.
mandatory,
Yes.
especially when you're first transferring them over, because otherwise, their body is not used to not having any fiber. So like if you're feeding them just raw and bones, you're probably going to have some runs for a while.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that pumpkin really, really helps out. And then so when it comes to Adam just said kefir.
yeah,
I don't know how
kefir. I call it
you
kefir. I
guys
don't know
pronounce it.
what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's been around since
Kefir.
biblical times, man. That kefir's been around a long time.
I don't
And we
know
used to
how to
do,
pronounce it. I know I'm gonna do it wrong. It's Greek.
we used
Yeah,
to
Um,
do the probiotics and the
Thanks,
prebiotics,
Debbie.
it's
but
like a
since,
liquid yogurt. It's like a drinkable yogurt.
yeah.
They got it at every grocery store in like a little quart-sized jug. They got a bunch of different flavors. It's actually for humans, but it works great for the dogs. We use it at our house quite a bit. It's over there with like the Yakult and things like that, and the yogurt.
Hmm.
But
that's probably got probiotics in it, doesn't it?
100%,
That's
yeah. It's got live cultures in it. Yes, sir. It's
nice.
good stuff, man. I actually use it myself and give it to the dogs. I just pour a little mouthful of it over each of their foods, and they love it, man.
Yeah, since
Yeah,
we switched over and put the 10% tripe in our blends,
types of
we
big
haven't been.
deal.
We used to. So before we had the tripe, we would just use like the big gallon jugs of probiotics and prebiotics you can get at the farm store, and we would do
Hmm.
like a scoop a day. But now we don't even do that. And I mean, everything is kind of regulated though at this point.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mark Davis, I think I seen. Was he on here tonight, or did y'all call him to the show?
I,
Um,
I I tagged him in the show for my
well,
own.
he's got a stuff. We actually, it sucks we can't get it here, but they make something that's got the green tripe and a few other things. I think it's sheep's milk and some green tripe and some other stuff that they mix up. I don't want to misspeak on the recipe, but they have a product that we can't get in the United States that they use over there in Ireland. Pretty awesome
Really?
stuff. Yeah. I think they can ship to Europe and some other places, but we're not actually able to get it shipped here. And they do really well with it over there. It's some pretty cool stuff. Adam Fields.
Tripe is like that's like the nastiest
It's
stuff. Like, but it's like the best for
It's
the
from the
dog.
sheep's
Like it
stomach.
stinks.
they go crazy over
Yes,
tripe. Like tripe is
man.
before we had it mixed with our food, before we did the 10%, we was ordering our
Yeah.
tripe the same way as our raw. So we was getting like 30-pound bricks of this tripe. And I would put 2 of them in a pan, put it in the refrigerator, and like leave it in there. And I mean, when I would open the fridge the next day, I would like almost puke. And I got a pretty strong stomach. I mean, I can gut deer. None of that bothers me. But that tripe smell is
Oh, it's brutal.
horrible.
My wife just said something really cool. There's something you can get from any herbal store or apothecary that's called slippery elm.
Yep.
And it's great. We use it ourselves, but it's also great for the dogs, and it will fix diarrhea or constipation. It'll regulate the gut, man. It'll put you right back on where you need to be for
See,
sure.
I didn't know about the constipation. I've read that helps with the diarrhea, but that's interesting.
Yeah. It's man, I'll tell you what, that slippery elm is a big deal, man.
Because I've been lazy. When they're constipated, I just go to my number one source, and that's mineral oil. That's what
That'll
I
do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it every time.
Every time. But man, does that leave a mess sometimes.
Yeah, it's surprisingly mineral oil is good for constipation, but something that you wouldn't think is good for diarrhea that actually really is coconut oil.
Mhm.
Coconut oil is actually good for diarrhea. It'll thicken them up or whatever. So
So good for the
Well, and
Oh,
a lot
man.
of, yes, it's great for the coat, but a lot of, you'll notice a lot of the hemp seed oil, like the liquids that are coming out as of late have coconut oil in it. And it's
Mhm.
because just regular hemp seed oil, it wreaks havoc on the stomach, if the body's not used to it. So they have the coconut oil so that they don't end up getting diarrhea from having the hemp seed oil.
Yeah, but to add to what I said, so people don't get misled, you also have to make sure that it's consumable coconut oil. Some of it's
Yeah.
not for consumption. Some
Yeah. Yeah.
there is
Absolutely.
there is
Hey.
some that's not for eating, and there is for like body products, face products, and different things like that.
Yeah.
But there is a good bit of it that's edible, and it's really really good for the dog and their coat, like Caleb
you
said, really good.
can
For
get
their
it in the
coat.
baking section at like Kroger's or Walmart. You can get the big jugs of it's like a white powdered
Yeah.
coconut oil or white paste, I should say.
100%.
Yeah.
And if you get the sauerkraut that I was recommending earlier, you have to get that. So if you get it on the shelf, it's not as good as if you get it in the refrigerator section. If you get the sauerkraut that's refrigerated at the grocery store, it's actually got a higher culture in it. The living cultures in it is a lot stronger, or I should say there's more living culture in it than the one on the shelf. And so if you're going to use sauerkraut, get it refrigerated.
Yeah. And then for
Yeah.
the coconut oil, make sure it's unrefined.
Yes.
That's true too. I'm fine.
Refined, very, very hyper specific, unrefined
Yeah.
is what you can give the dog. So
That's true. Thank you.
Yes. Hey, Brad, hard pivot. We've been talking about the food. I know we got a timeline tonight. You said something in introduction that I love, and I want to dive into that before the restriction is met on time. I know it's New Year's tonight. Everyone's going to try to get off. But you said something about actually doing inbreeding. Litter mate, brother and sister. I love this because a lot of people don't really understand the concept of inbreeding and the importance of it to lock in the traits,
Yeah.
like you were saying. You didn't do it because of the restrictions, when she came into heat and things like that. But I want to dive into that because I love that. Like, that's really good breeding talk. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do brother and sister?
I would only do
What
it.
are you going to do to try to lock in or get out of that?
So out of all my litters, this was the only one I've ever even considered it.
Yeah.
And the reason we considered it, there was the good outweighed the bad in just about every area that we could look at. I mean, the fronts, as far as like overall conformation, everything was there. Health wise, like I said, we had done, the embarks. We were clear on CRD1. We were clear on CRD4. There was nothing super dangerous that we had to worry about doubling up on. But the most important thing was was the genotype. Like everything that I wanted in a genotype was in both of them dogs. So in order to get like to 100% lock in traits, I mean, that's the tightest and most really effective way that you can do it. I see why it's frowned upon, because if people that don't really study it or don't do the proper testing and don't know what they're doing, I mean, you can
Yeah.
definitely create an entire litter full of train wrecks.
Got to look
But
into genotype if you're going to inbreed.
yeah, and that's, that's like, even, GrCh, I've had probably 10 people that are like, hey, can I breed GrCh to one of his daughters? And I don't allow it, because GrCh is a great dog. I don't like his stiff stifles. Like, it's a lot of his females have had stiff stifles. GrCh has the most amazing fronts I've ever seen on a dog of his size. Like, looks like a cat standing in the ring. But the stiff stifles is something that, I believe in the bully community, we kind of need to be working our way away from. So therefore, that's not something that I want to contribute in doubling up on by letting somebody do an inbreeding.
I agree with that, man.
The responsible breeding that you do, because not only your keepers, every dog off that litter is going to throw those traits, especially doing inbreeding like that, because you're locking those in for generations. So, man, respect. Again, respect for what you're doing.
Yes, I love how you put the hammer down in that regard. Like you could easily just be like, yeah, sure, it's however, much you charge for stuff. You're like, yeah, that's money in the pocket, right?
Yeah.
But instead, like you literally, it's about the breed, it's about the standard, it's about the dogs, and that's something that really sets a lot of good people apart, is their willingness to, be like, no, that's
Be
not,
ethical.
it's not going to contribute positively, so I don't want to be a part of it. And I love that.
Got to be
I love
ethical, man.
And it worked out for me, like, especially with Wishbone. So, like, even though I didn't get to do the inbreeding, we got to do a really tight line breeding. I mean, it was her back to her litter mate brother's son. We locked in. The rear on Wishbone is impeccable. It's just what I want to see in a dog his size. I mean, when he's gating, he's pushing with the rear, he's pulling with the front.
4-wheel drive,
When
baby.
he stands, you can see muscles like flexing in his rear. Like, Wishbone's the reason I started going to the gym again. Like, I'd freaking watch this dude walk through the house, and I'm like, he's got bigger shoulders than me. Like, so now, for the next 3 years is basically going to be me doing a lot of line breeding of Wishbone to GrCh daughters and GrCh to Wishbone daughters, because like, to get in between those two on breeding the dogs in front of me is kind of where I want to be as far as phenotype goes. Like, phenotype is there between those two, so I just got to get everything locked and dialed.
I love the vision going forward with it. Like, as soon as people hear litter mate to litter mate, they normally get a very negative image, and that's why I wanted to bring light to it, because it's a good topic, and it's a topic that needs to be understood. It's a topic that needs to be educated. Like, you don't do that blindly. Like you said, the embark,
You need to know where
because you're doubling up on everything.
You need to know where your COIs are.
Absolutely.
Already.
That's what Sean was saying. Sean actually asked what the COI is on each of the litter mates. Like, like you would need to know that, and to make sure that you're, again, not going a little too hard in the paint.
Yeah. So I mean, we actually wasn't too bad on Duchess and Devon. If I'm not mistaken, one of them was like right at the 18 to 19%, but then we had another that was like 11%.
Are these pockets or? Yeah. Well, the pocket actually has a more of a lot bigger range on COI than the XLs do. Yeah. Because of the smaller gene pool, I think you can be up in the 40s and up to even 50 without being like, oh no. But like, with an XL, that's way out of range. Like, you get to about 30, you're pushing it on an XL.
Now I've seen some of my dogs that like really weren't line bred. I mean, there was, of course there's going to be like Rocco here and there up and down the generation, but I've had dogs that, in my opinion, are more scatterbred than anything else, and they've still got a COI of like 33. And I'm looking at it like, how is this even possible?
It's the smaller gene pool with the smaller dogs. Yeah.
Yes. Hey, there was another thing you said too in the intro, and you said that you're going for that dog that's really the medium. Like, you see that you fell in love with the extreme, but then you like a dog that can perform and can walk with you and things like that. what is that perfect dog for you? The image of that perfect dog, because I agree with you on that.
So when I
completely agree with
when
you.
I first started showing Groot is 14 and a half inches tall. He is shorter back than he is tall. Like I think my 13 sandal, I mean, will basically cover his tail base. Like super short back,
Heck
but he
yeah.
had the stiff stifles.
Yes.
But he's got just his fronts are incredible. So I need to get his fronts, you know, if I can in between 15 and a half and 16 and a half as far as height goes, but I like that shorter back that's still going to be about the same as the height and then the movement. That's number one for me because I'm addicted now to the show ring. So while I want a dog that's going to make you say wow, like at the same time that dog has to go out in that show ring and it has to be able to perform.
Dude, I agree with that so much, man.
Yeah.
The rear mechanics are,
Wow by look and
yeah,
performance.
rear mechanics are most important to me, and overall functionability of the dog, and just overall movement, man, it's got to be there to
Yeah.
me.
That's rear movement is something we lack a lot in
Yeah,
this and the bullies,
it's the
especially
hardest to pull in.
the more extreme we go, you know, the bigger we go. That's the one thing we've really got to get worked on is
There we
that
go.
rear.
Yes. Because we're making the
Man,
front
I
extreme.
love to
We're
hear how
jeopardizing the
objective you're
rear,
being,
and there's
man.
not enough rear
Yeah.
to go back
Yeah,
to
that's
it.
true, Caleb.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we're Wishbone
I
is
love it.
going in on July 20th. That's when he hits 2. So he's going in for all his OFA on his hips and all that stuff. So he's
Love
gonna be
it.
100% OFA tested. I know everything's gonna be good with his heart, just because, like I said, he did have to spend like a week at Purdue. And when he was there, they basically had this dude on every single test and heart machine that was there. So at that time, everything was perfect. So we'll see how it is when he's 2.
I'm sure it should be fine. Well,
Another great thing is, like, why are you waiting till 2? Like,
So you can
for
do
OFA.
preliminaries, but nothing's like really final until 2.
not
So
on the
There we go.
OFA, right?
yeah,
Exactly.
we went in.
Exactly.
We
I
went
want.
in just a few months ago to our vet and had him do like more blood work and everything just to make sure the white blood cells and everything was good and they listened to the heart, everything was good. And when we started talking about OFA, they're like, look, he's going to be 2 years old in about 6 months, so you're better off just bringing him back when he's 2, so you're only doing it once, everything's final. Other than the heart, you have to do that, like I think it's every year. But as far as the hips, the elbows, the patellas, all that is good to do at 2 years old because then you're not having to do it twice.
I love it. Great point. But that's a lot of people rush that. They do it earlier, or they don't know when to do it. Like
Yep.
2 years. That's exactly. I want to put emphasis on that.
Dude, man, kudos to you, man.
Yeah.
You're really on point in a lot of ways that I feel like a lot of breeders need to step their game up, man, and get on this level right here from the raw to understanding pheno and genotype. But most importantly, man, you seem to be comfortable with being objective about your program, and I think that's the type of transparency that I expect when I deal with a breeder. But a lot of times I don't get it, and I'm very objective about my program, very honest, and people think they have to hide their flaws. You really don't, because like you said, that amazing front for me, I've got rear mechanics for days on my yard,
Yep.
and I could breed to that front of yours and put those pieces together and bam. So every dog has a use to somebody else if they know what you actually have and what you don't. You know what I mean?
Now I probably break my dogs down more than I should. I'm very, very, very hard on my own program. I mean,
Oh, you
every
got to.
Gotta be,
every
man.
every little flaw. So like it's funny, somebody will make a post or make a video about one of my dogs and be like, "Oh, did you see the rear? Oh, did you see the fronts?" And I'm kind of looking at it like, "Wow, you can notice the most obvious flaw, but you don't notice the other 3."
Right.
Tell me
What
what you
I
see.
already picked out.
Yeah, tell
Trust me,
me.
I can tell you,
Yeah,
I can flaw pick my dog better
I
than
can
anyone.
tell you a lot more flaws that you're not paying
Mhm.
attention to. You're not looking at the shorter upper arm assembly that's
Yeah.
contributing to that little bit of a higher rear. I mean, they're not breaking them down. They just like to jump on that wagon of this dog has a flaw. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
I know my dogs
Yeah.
have flaws. Every dog has flaws.
Yep, they
And you're
do.
It's our
actively
responsibility
working
to
to
know
do
Absolutely.
how to
that.
breed them out and breed for better.
Yep.
Being objective is so important, man. How can you grow? How can you build on what you have if you won't even admit what you
Yeah.
have?
Yep.
Right. Kennel blindness is a killer. It's just one of those things that,
It is a
I
killer.
mean, and again, it's like for me especially, I don't get me wrong, I love my dogs and I think they're gorgeous, but I also know when you start comparing them to their respective breed standards, You've got to be, able to look at that and be like, okay, that needs to shorten up. That needs to get, that needs to be corrected. That I need, a little bit more turn to stifle, or that Easty Westy needs to be corrected, or, oh my gosh, look at that slight undershot. Like, you've got to be willing to look at these things, and no matter how beautiful, I mean, it doesn't mean you love the dog any less. That, I think a lot of people can't compartmentalize that. They can't separate it. So they think that if they're picking
Agree.
flaws in their own dog, they're sitting there thinking, oh, well, then I just don't love my dog as much as I apparently thought I should. That's not the case at all. I love my dogs. I do, endlessly. And I, again, think they're gorgeous. But guess what? I'm going to sit there and I'm going to tell you all their flaws.
Yeah,
Yeah,
means
you
you love
gotta know
them
what they
more
are and what
because
they're
you,
not.
Because
yeah,
I know.
you love them more. You're willing to see what is there that needs
Yeah,
worked on, and most people don't. They don't want to see what's there that needs worked on.
precisely.
Yeah.
So what, in your opinion, is the most important attribute that you want to either start with, like if when you're starting your program, because you've done this from scratch before, like literally you've revamped everything. You've been like, you know what, wash my hands of this. Let's start over, new patch. So what do you feel is the most important attribute to at least at minimum start with? Because
So
it's the most difficult to maintain or to
I'm
keep.
at a point right now where movement is like the number one thing I look for, and I do that because so you could have Easty Westy, you could have stiff stifles, you could have a bad turn to stifle. All of that can be stacked out with little tricks when you're in front of the judge.
It is.
But when your dog is moving, when your dog is gating, you're always going to see the true everything. You're going to see the top line. You're going to
All
see
comes out.
if the feet are paddling and turning out. You're going to see if the dog's rear is not tracking to the front. So, like, movement right now is kind of the main thing that I'm focusing on, because if the dog is moving or if it's got something wrong with its movement, then that helps me kind of pinpoint what I need to do to
Yep.
increase the other things on it.
I agree. What you said about pulling in the front and the back is what I call full wheel drive. That's such an important thing I look for in dogs. You're going to have a real balance, small front or small rear, but if they're pulling with all four legs, man, you're going to have that good
Yeah.
balance. That's another big thing about having the right movement. I notice a lot of dogs, something I've been really, I guess it's always been an issue. My level of understanding and my trained eye has noticed it a lot more here recently. But you got dogs with long toes a lot, and those. It's not just the cat feet up on the muscles of the feet, and having good pasterns. It's also the length of
Those
those.
toes
You know,
are actually long.
Yeah.
Some of those dogs have longer toes. It's not, that's not environmental, baby. That's
Yep,
genetic.
and it makes them walk flat footed more and not so much up on their. I like
Yeah,
them
you
little
have to do a little
short
bit more
toes
work
and them
to,
short pasterns.
yep. You have to work a little bit harder to combat with that. But yeah, some dogs, and I mean, my XL, his toes are just naturally long. I mean, he's got great pasterns. It's, because we've worked on that, but his toes are a little long. It's just
Yeah.
I've got two
part of
dogs right now that I notice every time, like, and you can really see it when they're walking that the toes are longer, because a dog that doesn't have like the long toes, they're, like you said, like the cat feet. I mean, everything is kind of like squared, the toe squares
That's
up, it
right.
squares over. So like when
Yeah.
they're stepping, I mean, they're stepping right there.
Uh
Whereas if it's a
huh.
little bit longer, now when they step, like they want to kind of,
Uh huh.
they want to flatten it out. And I see
I've
it.
Yeah.
here just real recently, brother. That's been like a pet peeve of mine. I've gotten to I'm like, it gives me a twitch every time
Yeah.
I see it. I'm like,
And
dang.
the
My
worst thing is
dogs
there's
have
nothing
good
you can
good
do.
feet,
Like,
but
there's nothing you can do. Like
nothing you can
pasterns,
do, man.
you can kind of work on strengthening them.
Yeah.
But if their toes are long, I mean, there's not much you can do to
I
help that.
think that's something that's not talked about enough, man. When we talk about picking flaws and picking traits and matching phenotypes and stuff, like you never hear anybody talk about the toes. But to me, I got my eye on them toes, man. It's
Yep.
a big deal because it changes the movement of the dog. I truly believe
Oh yeah.
them shorter toed dogs, they seem to move better. It's not the only thing they need, but it's important. You know
100%.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And like,
how they
again,
how
even
they
though,
it's how they hold their weight on their feet that's not makes it noticeable. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
no, absolutely. Like, with my XL, even though his toes are slightly longer, and the thing is, you have to look at him, really look at him to notice that. I notice
Yeah.
it because, again, I pick apart my dogs.
Yeah.
Compared to many, many others that you see, not even close. Like he looks great comparatively, but at the same time, I notice his toes are longer than this. But he still moves beautifully. But that's because we've had to work on that. We've had to find that perfect pace so that it's not as apparent, you know. And but he's got beautiful movement. But you got to work on that.
Yeah,
You
you
got to.
do. Willie Martin just brought up a minute ago. He said something about top line being his pet peeve, and now he's talking about high rears. They stack it out, but yeah, dude, I'm big on top lines, man. I feel like a lot of registries are almost letting go of the top line, and I hate that, man, because to me that's an important part of a dog.
Yep.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? You like a good top line? I mean, of course you do, but is that something you try to keep?
I like the good top line, but I like it even more like it correlates with what I said earlier about their movement.
Yeah.
You know, like you can stack a dog out, you know, if you can get them to squat just right without pulling their feet back too far and, tickle the tail, get them just to do that little half-inch squat. I mean, you can make that top line look good, but then as soon as that dog gates, the top line is right back at its honest position. So
Mm-hmm.
I like the top line, but I like that top line even more when the dog's moving.
Yeah.
Like nothing makes me happier. Like we've seen it at nationals. I mean, dogs that can gate in that ring and they're gating and like the whole time the top line never moves. I mean, I love
Go
it.
ahead and say it, man. That there were dogs. Look, kudos to everybody that won, man. There were some floater top lines that some of the best I've ever seen, and I have to
Yeah.
give it to
Good
Hangman.
looking dogs.
Jack won it, man. Congratulations to him, and love that dog. Not taking nothing from it at all. There isn't a dog hardly that I've ever seen that floats like Hangman. Like if you block his feet in the view
Doesn't
of
move.
your
Yeah.
view, you
Nothing else moves.
Nothing moves.
Nothing
it's
else moves.
like he's on a boat,
It's
man.
so cool.
It
Yeah,
It
and
is.
is.
then
So and Hangman, man, that whole litter, there was what, three grand champions? I mean,
banging
Four,
them.
Ooh,
four grand
Ragnar,
champions. Yeah.
Juno, you got Cerberus, who Chris
crazy.
can never say his name. What is it? The official rep of the ABKC can't
Serbius or
pronounce Cerberus. Is
Service.
it
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cerberus?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing to watch them. And I've shared the ring with them multiple times. So like,
I have too.
especially, if they're in front of me, like I'm so focused on watching them gate that I forget like, oh shit,
That
they're just getting
that's
ready to look at my
one
dog.
of the prettiest gates,
Let me
man.
hurry up and stack my dog up here.
I'd have the same problem. Like, I'd be fangirling in the ring. I'd be fangirling. I'd be like, oh my God, that's Hangman.
Yeah.
Like
I
Shout
even
out to
wouldn't
Dean,
be able
man. They
to.
did their thing over there in New Mexico. They sure did. And they actually won with a grand champion pocket female this year. I forget the name of the dog. Beautiful, beautiful dog that they won at nationals with this year. It's not from that litter, but it was a pocket that they won with. I don't know if any of y'all know the name of the dog.
Hmm? Which
Uh,
one?
it was a pocket female that Dean won. Hangman's producer.
Chinook?
That is Chinook.
yeah.
It's Chinook.
Yeah. Yep,
Yeah,
that's
her name
it.
is Chinook.
Beautiful
Champion
female,
Chinook.
man.
Mhm.
Beautiful female
Beautiful
they
little
had
thing.
there.
Oh, dang. She knows what she's doing. She's a
Yeah,
beautiful little thing.
There was a couple
Beautiful.
super, super.
females at nationals this year, especially in the grand class that I mean,
Oh,
like,
yeah, Problem Child and
Problem
Piggy
solved.
Bank and
yeah, I
Piggy
mean,
oh my
bank, man.
God.
Come on.
literally
Woo!
like I'm like, cool, I'm glad I don't have to stand my boy next to them because they're
Yeah, I mean, and that was one of the things that I kept telling people was it's like when because we went to the meet and greet the day
yeah.
before, and I remember seeing Prom Child walk up, and I was like, holy shit, she made it. And I was sitting there thinking like, oh, she's going to cause some problems for some males, but that was and I hadn't seen Piggy Bank yet, and then obviously day of you see Piggy Bank, and you're just like,
You
Jesus, these females
A
are
lot of people
turning
yeah,
out.
thought Piggy was going to
I
win it all,
love seeing
man.
the females come
you
out
I
like
would
that.
not.
expect to look under Miss Piggy and see a set of
Hmm.
testicles. I mean, that's what you expect to see. I
Yeah,
mean,
they
Yeah.
said, what's your stud fee? Like,
yeah,
I mean, holy cow. There were some beautiful females at nationals. And it's one of those, it's really encouraging. It's really encouraging to see that because, you're seeing these really, really, well-balanced, well-muscled females. It's,
when you go
man,
like if you're going for best pocket or best standard or best micro whatever, you got the best female and the best male. um it's if you're in there and that female looks just as good as your male and brings basically the same attributes as your male, like you already know that's the dog that should win. I
Yeah,
mean, and I'm never going to get
absolutely.
mad over that. Like if
Absolutely.
that female is holding her own against my male, I expect that judge to go ahead and give the best of to
yep.
that female.
I agree, man.
Mhm.
Willie said He's talking about Sweet Jones. I mean, yeah, Sweet Jones's boy, Mr. Clean, that won last year.
Yeah,
Yep.
Mr. Clean.
Dog
Yep.
did have a good. I'll tell you what, man. I ain't gonna lie. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I cried over that dog at Nationals last year.
We
I had
all
picked
did.
him. We were
It's
sitting
bad.
around. I picked him from the. So I mean, before they even started cutting dogs, it was like in the very beginning. I was like, "That's the dog," and I rooted for him there to the bitter end. And I was so emotionally involved, man. I'm telling you, I teared up good on that one, man. I'm so happy for Thaddeus and both of them, man. James, he that's a hell of a
Yeah,
dog,
Yeah.
man. Good looking
Mr.
dog.
Clean is
Most people
Mr.
don't
Clean is the truth.
realize this, but when Thaddeus is handling a dog, he has to work twice as hard as us normal people because
That's a big
he's
ass
Big
Okay,
hit.
ass
so
hit.
tall.
have you
You
guys
know,
have you guys seen Tommy Boy? Where he's
yeah,
like big guy and a
yeah.
little every single time I'm at a show with Thaddeus and I'm filming him in a gate and it's always a small dog. It's always a pocket, male or female. And I say big guy with a little dog as he's gating, and it's just I can't help myself because that's what pops in my head is this he is just this gargantuan dude and he's got this
Gargantuan
and they're
is
just
a good
Yeah,
word to describe
he's
Thaddeus.
big, and when he's got to stack that dog, if that dog like unstacks, I mean that's a lot of work to be bending over that far. Like I
I'm
don't
telling
like
you,
it, and I'm a
he
whole
makes
lot
it look
shorter than
he
Thad.
easy,
makes
man.
it look so easy.
He does. Makes the dog look so good. And he's every weekend. Every
Yep.
weekend. He's somewhere stacking a dog, man,
Man,
doing
that
for the
is
dog
my
community.
guy, man. Thaddeus, man. Hats off
Yeah.
to you, brother. You know you're my guy, man. Proud of everything you're doing, man. Getting it in,
Exactly.
brother. He can handle
Working.
a dog now.
Oh, he can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was Migos, Grand Champion Migos that he had it
Yeah.
in the Nationals ring,
Yes.
and
I love that.
man, yeah,
A
that
lot of people
was. I
thought
mean,
Amigos got a short end of a stick, man. Like, and I try not to get into the politics, but I will say that I don't disagree. I really think Migos looked good, man. Looked super good.
This year was
yeah,
tough. Like I'm glad I will never
I
have to judge on a national stage like that.
John, it's all you, man. I don't even know how you did it. I wouldn't have wanted to be
No,
Sativa at
because
that point.
going
Like,
in,
I wouldn't have.
I had my mind set on two dogs. Like I was like, man, it's going to boil down to Grand Champion Mac or Grand Champion Miss Piggy. And then I get there and I start seeing all the other dogs, and then I'm back in the staging area for best of breed, like looking through the curtains and watching these grands go around, and I'm like, I gotta freaking go out there and compete with this. I mean, it was
No.
a
Hey,
humbling experience.
what's that like on the nerves?
Oh, dude, my nerves were shot. So before, it was for the best of winners when I was they was doing the one category before us, and then it was best of winners, and I'm in the staging area and like my nerves are shot. Like my eyes are watering, like my freaking sweatshirt's soaking wet.
Yeah,
And I couldn't take it off because that's the easiest way to get my treats in and out is my freaking hoodie pocket. So I'm like,
of
I
course,
got my
of
sweatshirt
course.
on. I'm sitting on the floor. I'm hugging Wish. I'm just nervous. Well, Daryl, the one that was handling Grand Champion Jack, he
Mhm.
had walked by and seen me in there stressing. And, keep in mind, I just met Daryl the day before, never met the dude in my life. And he walks in there and puts his arm around me. He's like, "Here, man." He's like, "I'll take your dog in there and show for you, so you can get your bearings right." And I'm like, "Oh man, I appreciate it." I was like, "But I'll get it." So, like,
Respect.
that was a humbling experience, for never met the dude. He's out there kicking butt, and he seen that I was under pressure, and he's like, "Hey man, do you need me to take your dog
I
in there
Yeah,
love
for you?"
that.
So,
oh,
Yeah, that's what's
that's good.
I
up,
love
man.
it.
That's yeah. That I mean that, and you can tell that like he has a love. There is a deep pitted love that man has for these dogs, and that was incredibly kind for him to be like, no, I mean if you need me to, it's going down. I'm
yep,
here for you.
that's something I'll
Yeah.
never ever forget. I mean, that was cool.
I was actually in the ring right when he won it, and I got to interview him like in that moment. Like he was still balling and all that, and it's like, I mean, the dude was so proud and so happy, man. It was
Yeah.
electric, dude.
Yeah,
Big
Well,
deal.
and it's so funny because like when Fatiza was walking to him with that trophy,
he was
he took a
froze.
step back, and I was like, oh, he's gonna faint.
He's
Like,
gonna fall out. Yeah.
because I mean, I don't know if he remembered he needed to breathe, but
I think
man,
he
yeah,
forgot for a minute.
He did. It looked
I
like he
think he
did
forgot
anyway.
because for a minute there, I thought he was going to faint, and he didn't. Thank goodness. But man, he's yeah, that was a hard fought win for him. Everybody that came out to compete. I mean that. If you, and we've said this, billion times. If you want to see a really good representation, a very consistent representation of this breed, you go to nationals because people aren't bringing train wrecks to nationals.
No, and
Uh,
everybody that was in that ring with Daryl, there wasn't a single person that was upset over the judges' pick. I mean,
yeah, at that point,
everybody was happy. Everybody
I mean,
hugged
you're
him. Everybody
splitting
congratulated.
hairs, man. You
It
know,
was
really, you are. You're
it's
dissecting, and that's the thing.
really,
It's like,
it's like who's the best basketball player? Who's the best football player?
yeah.
It's like, I mean, there's a lot of them,
yeah,
dude, that are really badass. So
Well, most people don't know that. That was like, so that day was basically like a Cinderella story for Daryl.
it
You
yeah.
know,
was.
He was
it
backup
was,
member, I think, initially, right?
yeah, it was his birthday,
Mhm.
that day.
And he
He,
proposed to,
he
yeah, he
proposed
proposed the day
to his
before.
fiance and she said yes. And then,
Yep.
he went on to win Best in Show at Nationals. I mean, that's like a movie right there. Like somebody needs
It
to make
is,
a
dude.
movie about that. It was awesome.
And
Yeah. What a,
his character too. What a
Yeah.
great dude, man.
yeah.
He
Yeah. He's a good
he is
cat.
super friendly dude, man.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So that was so it was good. I mean, you saw nothing but great dogs there. You got to witness first times for a lot of people to do certain things. And, we got to, watch you, get a champion title for Wishbone, in real time. That was super cool.
Yeah.
I almost stole your trophies.
I know you were like right there at the entrance. I'm like, yes, let me just hand stuff off.
Right, because like literally you're just like, oh, what do I do? And I was like, just hand it to me, hand it to me,
I
hand it
didn't
to
know
me.
what to do. I was like, my mind was not there. I mean, I was probably functioning on like 50% mind capability at that time. It was just,
Right, and at that point, I was like, just
Autopilot.
hand me the trophy and get back in the ring, get back in the ring. And then the guy standing next to me, and you probably hear it like on my live, you can probably hear him be like, dude, just keep the trophies. I'm like, I can't do. First of all, dude's a Viking. I'm not stealing anything from a Viking. I mean, look at him. No, he can have his trophies back as soon as he's done. But like, and he kept on handing me trophies, and that was the best part. I was like, 1, 2, 3. I was like, hey.
there,
You
yeah,
got
there
my
wasn't
wife's
like,
attention with that Viking
there
talk.
wasn't
She's
no
over here fired
rest
up.
time. I mean, it was like, I'd win and
Michael.
think I'm getting ready to go rest. And they're like, don't go far. So I'm like,
Yeah,
what the heck?
right. Don't make yourself scared.
Yeah.
And that is true. I mean, it's pretty rapid fire once you get. I mean, and you could tell that they were picking up the pace towards the end of the show, where
Yeah.
like in between classes, they were calling out people less and less because
Yeah.
they, at that point, everybody should have known to still be ready.
If your dog
So
is winning, you stay close.
yep, yeah.
Honestly, the only part of the Nationals that I didn't think was just awesome, I wasn't really impressed with the XL class.
I
I,
I was impressed with the number of XLs that came out.
I'm not saying I'm not impressed with all of them, but as a whole, the XL class I felt was the class that was lacking the most.
Yeah.
But we needed to see that.
Yeah,
We needed to
we
see that.
did.
Like, so I'm
Yeah.
glad. Like,
Caleb Weddle,
and it was one of
where were you,
those
bro?
things.
Hey, Mr. Clean,
Huh.
where were
Huh.
you, bro?
You,
Nationals needed
yeah,
you in the XL
you
class.
have a plethora of breed standard XL, and none of them. That's fine. We'll forgive you this time.
Well, this is Brad's live. It was a tough year. So to go back out there
Yeah,
and just is like we're
I
back out
do.
there now.
I get it,
But yeah,
man.
like real talk, like that was yeah.
There was
I get that.
Yeah.
that one dog from Brazil. They were referring to him as an XL. I know he's not really an XL, like he's a new breed. What do they call him?
The
Like
pit monster.
pit monsters.
You talking about Big
Yeah.
John?
Yes. Like
Yeah.
I was impressed with that dog.
I've never in my
I've
life seen a
never
dog that's like, you just look at me, it's like, it's not physically possible.
no, because
But
usually
there he
like you
is.
get into that bigger
Yeah.
dog and then the bone in the head does not quite match the phenotype of the body. So when that dog walked up, I was like, what is this? Like
Well,
where's
first of all, as long as people accept that it's not an American bully, so don't worry about that. It's
Right.
a
Yeah.
different
Nobody freak
breed.
out,
Yeah.
please.
It's a different breed. It's not coming to take over the American bully. It is a whole nother breed. Like we got English bulldogs, we got Frenchies, we got American Bullies, we got pit monsters, right? And they that dog right there, dude. Let me tell you something. That rear that dog has in comparison to
Shocking.
RXLs
Yeah.
is because when they built their version of an XL in Brazil, they didn't use the Mastiff, they used the Boerboel. And the Boerboel
Yes.
has a much better rear than the Mastiff. That was actually a really good decision that they made
Yeah.
in building their version of an American Bully.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely. Heavy bulldog influence, heavy
yeah,
Yeah.
Boerboel.
So yeah,
that
Borbals and Dogo Argentinos are probably the closest when it comes to those
muscular rear.
hunting mastiff style
Yeah.
breeds.
Yes.
Those are the ones that are the closest.
Dude, let me
So you could
give you some stats on that dog, on Big John. So,
just
barely 18 months old, 147 pounds, 30-inch head, right? 21 inches at the withers, four-wheel drive. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, come
He's
on,
a
man.
rhinoceros.
And
It's fine.
that dog has like drive. Like that dog
Oh, yeah.
wants to play nonstop. I mean, there's no
Oh
slouch in
yeah.
that dog.
I
Super
mean, he was
cool dog.
very lucid. He was very, engaged with everything that was happening around him. Yeah.
TMZ Bullies is the name of their camp out
Mhm.
of I forget
Yeah.
where he's out of, but I've got him on social media. But yeah, dude, super great on the owner of that dog too. Super great dude.
I think my favorite XLs that I've seen, because I don't see a lot of them at the shows anymore. Like most of the shows we go to, we don't see a lot that come out. But when we
Yeah.
went to, I can't remember if it was Rumble in the Jungle 4 or 5, there was somebody from Texas that had brought out like 3 or 4 XLs, and man, I loved them. Like they were amazing, amazing dogs. And I
Yeah.
I
got
can't
pictures somewhere, so I need to go back and find
I
those.
can't think of the young man's name that had that young piebald male with the ticking at Nationals this year in the XL class. The young
Money bag.
Hispanic dude that
Yeah, Caesar
he couldn't have
Castillo.
been 21 years
Yeah.
old, maybe.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
Caesar
dog was
Castillo
11
and that
months
Scottish
old.
name is Moneybags.
Moneybag,
Money
yeah.
bag. Moneybags. Caesar
11-month
Castillo.
old American Bully, at least
Yep.
110 pounds, man. Big
And that
boy. Good looking
dog was
dog, too.
working.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a good looking dog. Good feet. Good top line to be such a big dog. Uh, Shout out to them, man. I forget the name of his camp. Do you remember? Moneybags was the dog, though. Definitely a
Yeah,
great
I
looking
can't
dog.
remember the name of the kennel name, but Caesar Castillo in Moneybag. But
I want to get
as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
into
That's his,
XLs, but I can't afford to feed them.
oh, they eat a lot.
that's
I
a
learned
lot of raw.
Yeah.
something.
Lot of raw.
I learned something. I learned something cool recently. So when your dog's at an age of growth spurts, like if you know your dog's starting to pop, they have different pops at different ages and all
Mhm.
that. You can give them a couple of good heaping spoonfuls of cottage cheese before they go to bed, and that cottage cheese has a certain type of protein in it, in particularly that giving them that like at bedtime, it slows down it takes a long time for them to digest, and that growth hormone that kicks on when a dog sleeps, uh, it's activated for longer. It stays open longer. That window is open longer and allows the dog to actually get more mass.
I did
It's a
not
it's a
know that.
certain type of protein that's in the cottage cheese that the way it was described to me, it's like you got a race car and that car is going and flying around every curve, and then it hits that sticky tar and it's got to slow down. It ain't got no choice. And that's kind of how the system of the dog is. It's just pushing through these proteins and this stuff, and it hits that protein that's in that cottage cheese, and it's got to take its time with it. Can't rush it, and it
Yeah.
forces that growth hormone window to extend from its natural time length. So, yeah,
Good
That
info.
is
So when you know it's popping,
when
when
you're
you
like,
know a pop's coming,
hey, my
cottage
dog's
cheese
starting
every
to
night.
get loose. He's starting to stand with his feet further apart, or he's
Yeah.
starting to put on
Yeah.
start putting that. It wouldn't hurt it to do it every day of his life, to be honest. But definitely when
Yeah.
you start to
Yeah.
see phenotypical changes in your dogs, put that couple of heaping spoonfuls of cottage cheese. You don't have to give it with food or anything.
Yeah.
Just 2 big spoonfuls of cottage cheese before bed.
And I bet they like
Oh,
it
they love
too.
it.
oh
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's
yeah.
like a
Yeah.
treat before bed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We used to do cottage
Yeah.
cheese daily on
Yeah.
top of a raw. Like when I first started, I did so much more than I needed to. Like, I'd freaking, I'd make their raw, and then I'd put cottage cheese on it and a teaspoon of coconut oil, and then I'd give them each a few pineapple slices and a few blueberries, and like that would be like 5 hours of feeding with how many dogs I've got.
I did that same thing, dude.
And then it was like I got so tired of like every time I'd pick up bowls, like everything was gone except for the blueberries. Like they would, I don't know how they would even know, but they would pick their way all the way around. The
Ours love the blueberries, but they would skip the carrots. I had to shred.
Oh,
I had to shred the
that's so
carrots with a
funny.
cheese grater to get them to eat it.
Now mine loved pineapples. Like I'd never had a dog turn down the pineapples.
Well,
But the
that's really
blueberries,
good.
With the blueberries,
I've heard that that's actually really, really good to feed them. Like, because in the there's no dog owner on this planet that has not at some point or other witnessed their dog eating their own
Yeah.
feces or another dog's. It's just it happens from time to time, but that is something that you can put in their food so that it makes it so their feces is less palatable to other dogs, including
Oh,
themselves.
really?
Mhm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I have.
Really?
Yep.
Or,
No.
yeah, somebody said like
Oh,
even
pineapple.
even just putting the
Pineapple.
pineapple juice on a dog's food or whatever makes it to where
Yep.
they don't want to eat their. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this tastes like shit.
Because that's why I quit. I tried to get into Frenchies, and
Oh, they're
I was like, I was
bad.
disgusted by it. I mean,
They're
like,
so bad about it. I'm just like, what are you missing? Like,
yeah,
because normally, like if a dog starts eating other dog species, it's because they and you're thinking, oh, they must be missing something in their diet. Maybe I need to amplify this or take away that, or just they need
Frenchies
something
just do
more,
it for
right?
fun.
No, they just do it for they just do it for shits and giggles.
Look,
They
I
really
had
it
do.
was
somebody telling me that they're
No pun
like, man, I got
intended.
this
Absolutely
little
pun
puppy
intended.
and I'm putting it in the crate and going to work, and I don't know how it's so young and he's crate trained already. I'm like, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, how old is he? They're like, oh, he's like 3 months. And I'm like, how long
yeah.
you going to work? And they're like, oh, 8-10 hours. I'm gone every day. And there's, I'm like, bruh,
Yep. Smell
you're
that.
not crate trained, man.
Smell that
That
dog's
Frenchie's eating
breath.
it. That's what.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
Yeah,
accept
yeah.
any kisses.
No.
yeah, for sure.
Any kind of kisses. Um,
Yes.
Yeah.
no, sir.
Hey, real quick. Hey, I'd like to shout out Daryl's watching. Man, Daryl, shout out to you, man. Like you did your thing. Congratulations on the engagement. Also, Christopher James is watching. I would like to congratulate him on absolutely nothing. But no, hey,
Hey, Daryl,
Christopher.
shout out,
That is
shout out to you, man. I
You
was
are,
there and
you are damn, man.
Daryl,
Jesus.
man, I got to interview you at Nationals, bro. We were just talking about you a minute ago, dude. Your emotion and your connection
God.
that night, bro. You were on fire, man. It was very enjoyable to watch your success, man, and watch you climb that mountain, brother. And you did your thing, dog, for
And
sure.
that
you
felt good
deserve
soup.
everything you earned.
Yeah.
Good shit, man. Real
Yeah.
talk.
Thanks.
And one more time, Christopher James. I don't mess with you. No, that is my dog. Nothing but respect for
Man,
Christopher James.
he's
Man,
gonna
MC at
roast you. He's gonna
Nationals, like,
roast you. Like it's
oh
like crying.
yes.
Like it's gonna be so
Caleb's
bad.
been giving him hell. I mean,
Seriously, you know what it is? It's jealousy over his promotion. That's what it
it
is.
is.
It's jealous.
It is.
Don't y'all say that on live, like where it can be edited and chopped. No, let's go back. Brad, your beard, man.
Enough about
Beautiful,
me. Enough
beautiful
about
beard.
me.
So you guys like
That's
where
great.
you guys from
Yes.
like Midwest or out on the East Coast, West Coast?
They're both in Alabama and I'm in Arkansas.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
that's hence the
I'll
hour
probably
difference.
see you then at the Arkansas Hog
In April.
Wild. Yep.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, we'll be
Yep.
there.
I'll absolutely be there.
Hey, Brad.
Dude, I
Brad,
chased you
where are you
around at
located?
Nationals a couple different times, and when I was talking to my guy from Ice House Bullies, I bumped into you then, but I don't think I ever got to have an interview with you. I run you down a couple of times, and I was like, man, that dude is moving tonight, baby.
He was cooking.
I think we did. I think we had like 15 seconds. It was after maybe
15
the first.
seconds,
Yeah.
yeah. I barely caught you just for
Yeah,
a
'cause
second, man.
it was like you interviewed me and I just got him out of the crate. I was gonna go outside to go to the bathroom, and then they're like, best pocket. And I was like, gee, many Christmas.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey man, I barely got to enjoy it running around doing them interviews and stuff. I did enjoy the whole thing, but I really was trying to get some good coverage there, man. It worked really well.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, you got the interviews. I ended up doing. I was just like, I'm just gonna park it right here
yeah.
and just
You
film. Like at
I
this
told
lives
Raul, I
point,
said next
tired,
time
don't
I'm
baby.
thinking,
Amanda, your
commentate.
lives were on point.
Watching you walk around interviewing people exhausted the hell out of me. I was like,
oh my god,
no,
Yeah, you
my
have the
feet hurt
no,
so
perfect
bad.
right
seat.
here.
You have
Yeah.
the perfect seat for those lives.
Oh man.
And it's so what's really funny is
It
when
was
I
on
first
point
sat
too.
down, I was like, because initially, like last year, they had him lined up against the back wall. Now he had him lined, so that's why I picked that spot. It's because I wanted that view, because then I could see the down and back, I could, the full, right?
Yep.
So instead, he lined him up towards me, and I was like, "Oh, this is awful. I'm gonna miss the inspection because that's part of the deal, So I may have missed inspections,
Yeah.
and caught John Sortiza, bending over a little too much. Bless his heart. I was like, oh my God, okay. I'm so sorry, sir. I'm
Oh
so
my
sorry, sir. Oh my God. But the thing is, it's like, yeah, the down and backs, you're right.
Oh
It just felt like there's,
Lord.
I was catching the down and backs. The gate, it didn't get in the way. So I think ultimately, in spite of initially being disappointed and feeling like I didn't have a good view, that did the trick. And I got to, hold some trophies
Yeah,
for
you
a little
got
while.
to be the trophy holder. So I mean, it was really
I
worth
did. I did. I was happy to do it. You're lucky you got them back. They're really cool.
it.
Those are really cool
They
trophies.
are.
I, I,
You're
I
So
lucky you
like,
look.
got them back.
I
He did get
remember
them back.
having
He
that
got
Side
every
moment.
note,
single one of them back.
Look, I'm scrambling
every
around.
one of them.
You wasn't gonna
Count
take
them.
nothing, Amanda. Look, look. I'm scrambling around. I'm about out of gas, man. I'm telling you, I'm running on empty bad, and I'm like, where the hell's Amanda at? And I'm like, and then I find her, and I'm like, oh, look at her spot, man. I'm like, I went over there behind her. I'm thinking like, can I squeeze in right there? Is there enough room for me? I thought, crap, man. I got the short end of the stick on interviews that night. I think it'd been a lot better to just do live. It with get me a little tripod and be done with it.
yeah.
I almost did the tripod, but the funny thing is I follow the dogs. Like so, like as they're gating, I follow and I zoom in and I zoom back out as they come back around and everything. And I can't do that from a
No,
tripod. Just can't
you
do it.
did
So
so good, Amanda. I went
I
back and
was.
watched yours. It was really, really
Yeah,
good.
I went back
I,
and watched like
That's
6 hours of your lives.
Yeah.
good
yay!
stuff.
That's why I did it. That's the only reason I did it. I mean,
She is on cloud nine right now. Brad, where are you
Uh,
located? What is your kennel name? How do
Bando
people get a hold of
Bullies.
you?
We are located around the Kokomo, Indiana area. We have Bando Bullies LLC on Facebook and Instagram. We don't use them as much as we should. Uh, Bando Bullies on TikTok, which we just started using like last week. So we're at like 700 followers now. That's awesome. We're going to start utilizing TikTok a lot more. And then you can find us, Brad the Beard Williams or Kareem Dunn on Facebook.
Brad the
Yes,
Beard
yes.
Williams.
I
I
had to
love
put that
it.
in there, and then I had to do that little blue check mark because when we was doing like a lot of kids benefit raffles over the last few years, and
That's what's up.
people were like getting messages from a fake Brad Williams, saying, "Oh, you won, click this link," and they're messaging me like, "Hey, do I need to click this link to pick my stud?" I'm like, "No, absolutely do not click that link." So yeah, we had to do the whole
Yeah.
verification thing and all that stuff.
man.
But
Well, I'll definitely hit you up, man. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Sounds like,
this.
dude. Sounds like you're in a good spot, man. You got put in some good hard work. Got you a good program. Got a dog did so good this year, man. Closed the year out strong. Beautiful
And I
dogs
know,
over there.
and I know he's got some breedings coming up.
he just did his first breeding, and we had I don't know if you guys seen my post, but we had a dog that died of subaortic stenosis here a few weeks ago. We finally got the autopsy results back today, but now like
Mm.
so basically whatever the results of that test just made me like change basically everything moving forward. So like from here on out, every single one of my females is going to be echoed like right before a breeding. They're going to be echoed at the 18 months, at the 2 year mark, or if they're three, whatever, like before breeding, everybody's going to be echoed. And I guess we're not going to be getting rid of anything outright anymore as well. So like everything's basically going to be, co-owned with the stipulation that at 18 months and 24 months, the females go in for echoes. And yeah, the whole situation just really bummed me out because it opened my eyes that there's a lot more. This is like a common cause in the American bullies, and not enough people talk about it. Is
Mhm.
what it is. It's like
Yeah.
just me making that post and the amount of messages I got, like, basically shows that that's like the number one cause of death in these dogs. And I've been breeding 4 years and didn't know about it until it
Well, let's
happened.
talk about it a little bit. What, if you don't mind, what,
Yes,
tell us
absolutely.
what it's called again and what you know about it.
So it's subaortic stenosis. So we had a dog here just a few weeks ago. She lives with one of my buddies where I go work out. Perfectly healthy dog. Everything was good when he went to work. He leaves for work about 3 or 4 o'clock, puts her in the crate. I go over there every night about 8 o'clock to work out. So about 4 hours after he puts her in the crate, she's perfectly healthy. I get there and we go to give her a treat, like we do every time we get there. She don't want to take it. So I'm like, something's weird. So we let her out, and she looks bloated, right? So I'm like, something ain't right with her. Well, she was going through a false pregnancy at the same time, so it
Oh,
kind of made me feel like, okay, this is part of the false pregnancy. Her hormones are making her swell up or blow up today. So we sit there, we're laying on the floor with her, we're working out, everything's fine. I call him, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and take her to my house till you get off work. That way she's not alone,
yeah.
whatever. Well, we get to my house and
Yeah.
she starts doing this weird breathing, and I'm like, man, is she pushing like a fake puppy out? What is going
Yeah.
on? Like
Yeah.
it's like a weird
Yeah.
pant, and her stomach is like going in and out. It doesn't quite look like contractions, but it does, right? So laying on the floor with her, and my wife comes in there, and like she's looking at the way she's breathing, and my wife, like, she studies shit on Facebook all the time, like, because she whelps for people, so
Right.
she's watched more
Right.
videos on whelping and dogs than I've watched TV. She walks
Right.
straight to the counter, grabs some paper towel, puts paper towel like in the back of her mouth, and pulls it out, and there's blood on the paper towel. So I'm like, that's not good.
Yeah.
So at the same time, dude gets to my house, he gets off work, we load her up, we rush to Purdue. She's still doing like a little bit of breathing, but everything's good. The moment we walk into Purdue with her, like, the floodgates opened up. Blood starts pouring out of her nose, blood's pouring out of her mouth.
Mm.
They rush out there with a stretcher. They get her on the stretcher, get her back there. They have me fill out the paper, and they're like, if she codes, do you want us to resuscitate? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. Like, I don't care what it takes.
Yeah.
She lives. So we fill that out, send it back, and it's not 2 minutes later. Here comes the doctor. He's like, can you?
Oh. Oh, he froze up. He froze up for a second.
Are you back yet?
There you go.
I-
Oh, can't hear
I
me.
can't hear you. Still can't hear you.
Oh,
He'll come back in.
yeah.
Boy, you got us all fired up right at the climax there. I don't know what happened.
I know. God. I know.
Dude, how hard would
I
that be, man?
couldn't
Golly, man.
imagine that. I couldn't imagine that at all, even remotely.
I mean, I'd like to say like, oh, I could get through it, but if I had to
Mm-mm.
watch pressure go through it, I don't know if I can handle the pressure going through it.
No,
That's my baby.
yeah, I'd have the hardest time with that as well. I don't, man.
I guess he just lost signal
Okay,
all of a
is
sudden.
my mic back
There
on?
you go. Now we can hear you. We
I
just
can
can't
hear
see
you,
you.
but I can't see you.
What?
Oh,
Let me see here.
Well, tell us what happens as you figure it out. The suspense is killing me. So
oh,
the doctor came back in
Okay.
2 minutes later.
Yep. So the doctor comes in, um, says, will you guys come back here so we can talk? We're like, yep, let's do it. So we get back there. He's like, I know you put down, to, if she
resuscitate.
codes for us to save her, resuscitate her. He's like, are you sure that's what you want? And I said, well, yeah, absolutely. He's like, well, I just want to let you know. He's like, from what we're feeling, from all the fluid, from all the blood, he's like, it seems like some kind of pulmonary failure. Like, basically the organs are shutting down and her body's filling up with fluid. He's like, so, we might be $10,000 to $15,000 deep, but I can't make no guarantees. And
Yeah,
basically I'm just telling him, like, I want her to live. That's the money I don't care about. We want the dog to live, whatever it's going to take. So
yeah,
he's, like, all right. So he goes in the back, and he comes out, and he's like, comes out again, probably 30 seconds later. He's like, you guys should really probably think about putting her down. I know it's not something you want to do, he said, but basically everything in there is failing. He's like, we can hear the blood in her lungs, we can feel it in her stomach. He's like, it's everywhere. So I'm like, I said, okay. I said, can we come back and see her? I said, I want to, because when we walked in, to me, I didn't know the dog was going to die still, like
Right.
as we
Yeah.
walk in
You were
at this
bringing the
point,
dog to get
yes, at
saved. Like,
this point, we walk in with the dog and I'm like, I don't give her, a hug and tell her I'll see her in a minute, whatever. Every time I've been to Purdue, they pull us in a back room. We get to sit there with the dog. The doctor comes in. They literally grabbed her so fast on the gurney. I mean, I didn't even get to say bye.
right.
So I was like, can we go back there and see her, and talk to her, and then we'll decide what we want to do. And he said, yeah, let me go back here, make sure everything's cleaned up. Well, basically, when he opened the door to walk in there, the door didn't even shut, and he was already back in saying, that she had passed. So
Mm,
we,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, brother.
that was it was heartbreaking. But I'd seen it before in young puppies. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of what it reminded me of. I'd seen a couple in our whelping experiences, a couple young puppies that would start doing a weird breathing, and then they'd have a little bit of blood coming out of their mouth, and it was something we never was able to pinpoint or we was never able to
Right.
save. So they asked, do you want us to do the cremation and the autopsy and everything else? I said, yeah. I
Yeah.
said, I want to
I want to know.
definitely do the autopsy. I said, I want to know, what caused this. So we just got the results back yesterday, and they said it was cardiac failure secondary to subaortic stenosis. So what the stenosis is, it's the restricting of an artery um, under the aortic valve that basically pumps the blood from the heart to the body. So even though she had never had a murmur, even though like she passed her echo,
Right.
over time that tube basically just kind of swelled up over time, and it got to a point where instead of swelling up, it was now at this point completely closed. So the way they described it was the heart is pumping like 10 times harder trying
Yeah.
to get this blood circulated to the body. Well, the artery is closed, so it can't go to the body. So now the blood has to go somewhere. So that's when the blood releases into the stomach, the blood releases into the lungs, and it's just a whole big nightmare.
So what causes that? Do we know?
It's so evidently I've been going down the rabbit hole. So it's a very common issue in bulldogs. It's a very common issue in larger breed dogs, Rottweilers, Dobermans, things like that. They say that it can be genetic, it can be environmental. So, like, that's kind of why we're changing everything up. Like, I don't ever want to sell somebody a dog, and then that dog leaves me perfectly healthy at a year. When the warranty or when the health guarantee is up, they do an echo, everything's good, and then all of a sudden at 2 years, the dog has a bad artery. So we're changing it up until I know more about it. I did read somewhere today that their Embark, I don't think test for it, but there is one of the health tests does test for the SAS genome, and I guess if the dog carries one or two copies of the SAS genome, then that is what contributes to them going
Is
through
it
it later.
is it UC Davis? Is it UC Davis, Brad?
I'm gonna have to look. I'll send you the link
I
when
think
we
I
get off.
think it is. I think I may be wrong, but I think it is UC
Yep.
Davis.
And that's
I know that test. It's a lot more expensive. It's
yeah.
another alternative genetic testing to Embark, and it actually is a lot more specific about certain things, especially like Merle and some of the health variants and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's a little more expensive too. But
Yeah, definitely. It was an eye opener. Like you have a perfectly healthy dog, or so you think, and then you just don't realize that this whole time there's basically been an artery that's slowly closing over time. So
that's scary, man.
yeah,
And you said you got autopsy results
yeah,
yesterday. And for you to come on here
That's
tonight and to educate, like, off your experience, like,
that's
again,
something.
respect. I can't say it enough. Like, just your transparency and the education that you're providing to people off a experience that you just went
Yeah.
through,
it's because,
man.
like I said, it's something that not enough people talk about, and I think if more people start talking about the issues they have and the medical experiences they have and things like that, then maybe more people will start breeding to get away from that. I mean,
Doesn't
so
it
after
happen more often in puppies than adults, though?
yes,
I,
so
I
that
think
was
I think that's why. I think people part of it is they just don't want to talk about issues because they're not being open. But I think some of it is, if you're a breeder and you lose a puppy, do you get an autopsy? I mean, you do, but not everybody
Yep.
does, right?
Yep.
Right.
And I think that's the problem. Like, hey, we lost 3 of this litter. They were doing this and that, so whatever. But you actually got to find out what was truly wrong.
Yep.
And I think people don't do that enough, man. It's good to know, man, especially if it's your production, your dog. You need to know what's going on.
Yeah, I think in puppies we always just chalk it up as it's nature. It
Right,
happens.
right.
Puppy failed to thrive or whatever. But
Right.
Truth be told, there's issues that we're kind of we're subconsciously aware of, but nobody wants to talk about them. And heart issues is one of the biggest issues in this breed that nobody talks about. So
It is considered. I mean, that's an artery to the heart. So yeah, I guess
yeah,
that is considered a heart issue.
so we're
Well,
gonna
sorry for your loss.
once we get Wishbone like fully AFO and echoed and all that, we're gonna
Yeah.
whatever we set his stud fee at, there's gonna be like a discount for all females that are OFA tested, echoed right before breeding, stuff like that, just to it
Heck
it might be little in some people's eyes, but I mean it's one
It's
little step is
massive, though. I
one little
mean, and
step
that's the
is
thing.
still a big step.
In the right direction, huge step in the right direction, bettering the breed
Yeah.
in the right no, that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
huge step.
I mean, you're
We will
literally,
magnify that.
you are cutting out every ounce of mystery, and you're cutting down and as much risk as you humanly can. And I think that's a testament to your devotion.
It's
Like that's big.
there's
That's big. That's a lot of people.
Very well
one
put.
thing I can't stand is mysteries. Like, we talked earlier about the Inukshuk issue and the Campylobacter and all that. So what I didn't mention was when we went through all that, when they tested, the food and they were doing this and doing that, like I'm out here breaking down every possibility. I'm like, okay, so we have farm ground all around us. So am I getting rain runoff water that's going into my well, and am I getting bacterias from there? So we spent like freaking $4,500 on some dumbass water filtration system just for the dogs.
What?
Like it's
You're
freaking
running
horrible.
your water through charcoal and garnet.
Yeah, like there's this big UV station
He says that out of
downstairs, and like
love, but also
it's
like
so like people come over and they're like, "You got any bottles of water?" And I'm like, "Nope." But you see that little freaking silver
we
faucet?
don't need no bottles.
That
Well,
little
I'm not
silver
saying.
faucet right there will give you the most expensive water you've ever tasted.
Right.
I love it, dude.
Yeah, some of those filtration
This may
systems
not
are
be.
boss, man. They're expensive, but when you like look at
I love it.
obviously the water tastes different, but like you're looking at everything that like from step water hits this level to like water goes through that, then that, then that, then that, then that, then garnet. Who knew garnet was a filter? Who knew that? But it's in there, and like it's crazy, but it's so expensive. You're so right, and it's just man.
And I'll go in there
The
and I'll fill up
money,
a
the
cup and I
dissection.
drink it, and I'm like, well, yeah, it tastes like water.
I can say this something like as
For
you're
me, it's
as you're
taste.
something
Oh
as you're
man.
researching, trying to get because it sounds to me like you're learning all you can about this and stuff. I think
Uh-huh.
something to look into, and I'm not saying this is what happened in your case, but this is a possibility as well. If you're inbreeding, if a person is inbreeding they say like, oh, if you have breeding depression or if you have kink tails, well, so the heart, the kidneys, the eyes, and the spine is all made in the mesoderm
Yep.
when the puppy's created, and so all those things can be connected. So when people say like, oh, we bred out the king tail or we pet home those pups, but these dogs are all right. Well, what happens is one of them, one of them can be all right, but also it's possible that it showed its face as a kink's tail in one puppy and then showed itself as a heart issue or a kidney issue or an eye issue in other puppies. Not that there can't be a litter where one puppy has a kink tail and the other one's perfectly
Right.
fine, but these are all things that are created in the mesoderm in the creation of the dog in the womb, and so you know if you're looking at your COIs and looking at your level of homozygosity in your chromosomes and stuff, you can get into that too. Maybe something to take a look at.
Yeah.
Even if that ain't what caused it on your particular dog, that is something that could cause that. I would be willing to bet, because all that is a risk of breeding too tight, to have problems in the mesoderm, and the heart's included in that. So,
Yeah.
just something to look into there. Could be possible.
Yeah. Oh, I'll definitely look into it.
Yeah.
Like I said, once I dive into a rabbit hole, I go as deep as I can. I don't like any
too, man.
unknowns.
Me too.
You look at the clock, it's like 3 a.m. You're like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I'm watching
I've
videos
been
and
reading
Danielle's
like
like,
article after article after article of this. Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my wife rolls over and she's like, I thought you were tired.
yeah.
I am tired, but I'm stuck.
Yeah. That's right.
Yes, physically exhausted, mentally can't
I can't
Right.
stop.
100% mentally can't stop.
And I'm fighting it
No.
like a heroin addict, fighting it like a damn toddler. I mean, I'm on the
Like nodding off. Your body's trying to quit and you won't.
I've been falling asleep for 2 hours reading the same paragraph, still starting
Yeah,
over.
and you
Golly.
like I don't feel like I really retained that. And you started again, like nope, didn't retain it. And like that's your cue to stop.
When you wake up in the middle of the night and your phone's laying beside you and the charger's wrapped around your neck because you done
Yeah.
freaking trying to study.
Because you've been rolling with it. Oh God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's me,
been there.
man.
rolling.
If I said I'd never done that, I'd be lying
Oh.
to you, man.
No.
I wish we could
Oh,
get you to go out and come back in one more time, see if we can get you back on
on the
video.
yeah, because
I didn't see him at all.
no, he never reappeared.
Yeah.
Like his audio was there, but his face was not. And so like because you know how I have my phone and I have my
There
laptop.
he is.
My laptop
There
still
he
has
is.
me like
I
zoomed
see
in
him.
on my face because he's not there.
It worked.
It works. Got it back.
My wife is my brakes. She said I don't
Step
have
one,
no brakes.
always.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is my brakes. I don't have brakes.
Yeah.
I just go, baby. That's it. That's all I do is go.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hey,
I do the same thing. Like it's just one of those things where like so our schedules are so different that like I usually go to bed about 3 hours before Matt comes home from his night shift. And if I'm still awake reading something when he gets home, he's like, what are you doing? You're gonna take a nap before going to work? He's like, what are you doing? Why are you still like up? And I'm like, I was reading this article about this thing and now I can't stop.
Jerry James has said it's a real problem when you're driving a truck. That's a fact, Jerry.
Oh yeah, that's
I drive a dump truck for a living, man, and like when I have to get out 10 times a day and do jumping jacks so I don't fall asleep and hurt myself, golly.
yeah.
I'll
That
come
is-
home and tell baby.
Next time go live when you do jumping jacks. I want to see
Oh,
these.
dude.
I want to see
Yeah,
these jumping
we
jacks.
got the jumping jacks, kid.
Hey,
This is gonna be great.
Nothing will
Who's alive?
get you going like a good 50 jumping jacks. I'm telling you right now.
Mm.
I want to see you
Mm-mm.
do 50 though. I agree.
Oh,
I agree.
it's
Brad, tonight, Michael. Hey, tonight has been a complete honor. Like, and I'm down for however long y'all want to go. But coming into tonight, we upped the hour. Like, we went at 7 instead of 8 because we didn't know with New Year's coming in. You know, like, hey, like let's make sure.
Yeah.
But tonight's dialogue, tonight's knowledge, tonight's education that you've presented, and just completely transparent, like completely real.
I dig it, man.
Like I'm down for however y'all want to go. Like I said, this is not a conclusion. This is just a trophy for you tonight. Like, give flowers as flowers is due. The realness, the transparency, your program, what it stands
Integrity.
on. Like, thank you. Don't ever interrupt me though, Amanda. But the integrity. I was about to say. But real stuff, man. Like, you deserve the flowers tonight. And everyone that's watching, please share this. Go follow. Like, the integrity of this program. This is better than the breed. What we're talking about.
I've been through a lot in my life too, brother, and to see somebody come from the bottom, man, all the way up. I feel like everybody earns it, but you really earned it. You know what I'm saying? And I respect that, man. I really do.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what's
sure,
up, man.
yeah.
And when you were sitting to the left a little bit and you were sitting up a little taller in that chair, it was blocking the last third of that portion. Now roll back to the middle a little bit. No, the other way.
Oh,
It it looked like right there. It looked like a vending machine behind you, and it wasn't until you moved and I seen the whole width of the
Four.
shelf. Like, oh, that's not a
I would.
vending machine,
yeah.
There's
I'll take the
trophies,
top
baby.
center. I'll take the top center.
dude. Like half the night, I swear, I'm sitting there thinking, like, this dude's awesome, man. He's my hero. He's got a fucking vending machine in the living room. Like,
Yeah, I'm upstairs. This room is my doghouse. It's
That is
it's a real
trophies.
big bedroom. It used to be our master bedroom because it's got a bathroom like the same size as the room. But once we started collecting dogs, it was like a pain in the butt walking up and down the stairs to let dogs out. So we moved downstairs and this room sat empty. So I'm like, well, that's my new trophy room, computer room, live room,
the office.
I
the
love
office.
it. I love it. Yeah, that's one of the things that, like, when you have the ability to have your own space where you can display everything, room dedicated to that's pretty damn cool.
So up
Yeah.
until about 3 weeks ago, all the trophies were downstairs, like our mantle all the way around the TV, my wife's bookshelf, the top of my gun cabinet, the kitchen table. It was like
There
trophies
were ever
everywhere.
open cabinets in the
Yeah.
kitchen. You're like, damn it. Move
Finally,
it, trophy,
she's
grab
like,
a cup.
she said, you got to do something. She's like, we don't even have a place to sit and eat. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll take control of the room upstairs.
Well, I heard you
Love
talk
these
about
things.
having indoor and outdoor
Yeah.
facilities. Let's talk about that for just a second, man. I know I'm planning on this summer. I'm planning on building, probably a little towards the end of the summer, but planning on building an indoor facility here on my property. And I always like to pick everybody's brains about the do's and the don'ts, the lessons learned. You're
Yeah.
like, well, this is what I'm doing, and this, and then you're like, we should have put more outlets. We should have put a better drain.
That's,
Yeah.
You're always going through the rigmarole of, like, what would have been? Wow, we should have done this. God dang it.
I think he froze up.
He did.
Yeah. He's frozen on
And a
my end
great
too.
facial expression. I'm
It's
really digging
it's a
how he
cool pose.
froze.
Yeah, it is. He's off to the side, like, yeah.
I'm digging it.
But to piggyback off him, do you have an inside outside area and what your do's and don'ts on
So
what you did with it?
I guess, so our dog hotel, it's not like an indoor outdoor. Right now, I just call it the dog hotel. It's, we put our crates in there. We have all stainless steel crates, like what the vets have and the groomers have and all that stuff. That's basically where our dogs sleep.
Yeah.
They go in there at night to sleep, or they go in there if it's too hot or if it's too cold. Eventually, we have a big barn that's back behind our property. It's 60 by 80. We've been in the process of trying to buy it now for 3 years. Once we get that, then we'll actually build our true facility. But right now, my indoor area is basically just crates. It's a place they have blankets and, it's heated, it's cooled, it's got rubber floors, it has a drain, it has water. I mean, it's set up for ease of comfort. Our outdoor area, we have, I think we have like 25 by 10 runs. All of those have metal roofs on them. We have like 3 to 5 fans
Nice.
per run, just depending on the length of it.
Nice.
And then
Nice.
we also have misting systems that run on a timer for like when it's really hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then inside of each run we have a blue, basically like food barrel that is screwed to the fence and then like a brick underneath the front, so it's elevated off the ground. So if the ground is hot or the ground is cold, when they get inside the barrel, they're off of the temperature. That's basically how it's set up right now.
Clever. That's clever.
And we did our entire backyard in pea gravel, which I love it. It was great. It's easy to clean up. We use a stall rake, like like for horse stalls.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
can clean up like the entire yard and every run within 10 minutes with this rake. But we're gonna have to redo it.
And the gravel
Yep, the
falls
gravel
through it, so you
falls
don't
through,
gotta
the
worry
poop
about the
stays in,
grass.
and then we just throw it over the fence in the cornfield. So it's like
Are
super quick, super easy.
Man, that is
We're gonna
perfect.
are you
redo-
writing this down, Caleb?
got to redo it again this
It
year.
really
So if
is,
anybody's
man.
gonna do pea gravel,
You're reusing the poop for
I recommend they do like some kind of highway paper or something, the rolls of highway paper before they do the gravel.
Oh, okay.
Please,
what
please
weeds and
rewind.
things like that coming
I know you
through.
covered a lot real quick.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah,
Michael.
yeah. No,
You
no, no, no,
rewatch.
no, no,
We're
no.
we're in depth.
We are
We
in
have
it,
elevated.
sir.
We have continued.
You rewind, sir.
Yeah, you was froze up for a minute.
We have a YouTube channel
You
for that. You know
fast
that, right?
forward. You fast forward.
Look, when my phone battery was
You
at
look good when you.
20%,
Hey,
I was
when
like,
you
all right, I better keep an eye on that. And I got so into the live, man, I lost it.
Dang it.
when
So,
when we lost you though, it was a good image. Like it could have been like something real goofy. Like no, it was like.
Yeah, it was a post.
so,
So well done,
so
sir.
tell me about the indoor facility a little bit. Just real summarize real quick.
Okay,
I'll go
so
back and watch it, but
right now my indoor facility is basically it's a 14 by 40, one of the pre-built sheds.
Yeah.
We just done the floors in rubber G floor. We ran it up the walls about 3 inches. Everything's spray foamed. We have running water,
Nice.
electricity, air conditioning, heat. Everything's out there, and we have a drain on one end, so everything's easy to clean. We only use that if it's super hot, if it's too cold, or like at night for the dogs to sleep. Most of the time, our dogs are either running the yard or they're in their runs.
Yeah.
We have another. There's a 60 by 80 barn. I think it's 60 by 80 or 60 by 100. It's big, back behind our property, like 50 feet behind where my dog barn is. Once we buy that, we're going to do like actual indoor, outdoor. We're going to concrete the floors.
That's gonna be
It's yeah,
perfect.
it's
That is perfect for it
that's
to be
going to
right there.
be huge when we do
so
that.
your structure now, it's not a concrete floor, you just rubberized it though?
Yeah, there's this stuff called G floor. It's like big rolls of like 1/4 inch thick rubber. They use it in RVs and toy haulers.
Yeah.
So we did the whole floor in that. We sealed it, ran it up the walls. So cleanup is easy. It's easy to disinfect. We can wishy wash everything. And then eventually we're going to put metal on all the walls so that everything is
Man,
waterproof.
Yeah.
Right
that's
now, the
what's
walls are
up.
just spray foamed.
Anything you wish you hadn't
Yeah.
done or wish you'd have done differently or go pretty smooth?
I wish I would have just done the rubber floors to begin with. I've tried 3 different floors. Like we tried a roll of linoleum.
Mhm.
As soon as a dog found out they could scratch it and make a hole, like it was just the whole thing was ruined. Um, and then we're like,
Yes.
okay, we'll spend $600 on this freaking Rhino bed liner by the jug, and we'll just bed line the whole thing because that's waterproof. So that lasted about 12 hours. As as soon as I started spraying the floor, it just starts flaking up, and that was a horrible, horrible, horrible nightmare to get all that stuff cleaned up.
What's the flooring called again? Because I've done it all
Uh,
in this whelping
G
room.
floor, G
G
floor.
floor.
Yep.
Is it
Nope.
spray? Is it you
You
lay
can get it
it?
in a
Like
big rubber roll. They've got different sizes. So we first used it 3 years ago when we done our whelping
G
room.
floor.
We put G
Yeah.
floor in the whelping room, and it's like 4 years old in the whelping room, or the weaning room. I'm sorry. So that's it used to be our laundry room from our kitchen to the outside. So I kicked the wife out of there, said no more washing machine in here. We turned it into a weaning room, and that is basically where all the dogs, like
I
all
love
the
it.
dogs run through that room multiple times a day going in and out, and it's lasted for
Christina,
4
you
years.
hear that, right?
4 years.
Yeah,
4
4
years.
years, and it
G
still
floor.
looks good. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna do the dog barn in that.
Now,
What is it made out of? Like how do you
It's like
install this?
it's
Like
almost like a
I'm
roll of
very
linoleum.
interested.
It's like a big roll, and you roll it out, and you can either like glue it to your subfloor, or it's kind of heavy enough you don't even have to glue it.
Isn't it recycled rubber too?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can get
well,
it in
'cause I'm-
different textures.
How thick is it? Like is it good gripping for them too? Like,
Oh yeah,
whelping
it's like a
puppies,
1/4 inch
like,
thick, ain't it? Or at least 3/16
It's
thick.
well, this stuff's really thin, but you can get it in different textures. We done the coin the first time. I don't like that as much as the diamond plate. So this time we ordered the diamond plate texture, and we don't have dogs slipping or none
yeah.
of that stuff.
And that's the
really?
kind of,
And so there's no absorption of
No,
pee or anything like that
no.
on it. So it provides grip, it provides easy cleanup, it provides no absorption, and it's like
Yeah, it is
G floor.
100%
I am
waterproof. You can actually get small rolls at Menards. I think they're 7 by 10 rolls. When we done the dog barn, I ended up ordering a 8 foot wide by like 150-foot long roll that had to be delivered by a semi, and we just unrolled it in the yard and cut it down to size, rolled it back up, went in there and installed it.
So it's that easy to install. Like literally it's
Yep.
gluing it to your concrete. Let's say concrete
Yep.
floors. Like let's use just random my personal like concrete floors. I've gone through linoleum. I've gone through everything in this whelping room. We have 4 bays. G floor is literally cut
Yes.
and
Yeah.
paste.
Yep.
I
And
did put a link for G Floor in the comments. I specifically,
I am for it.
It's
I am
it's
for
best
it.
if you so the seam will be the only tricky part, because like if they can get under the seam, then they will tear it up. Once they get that seam tore up, it's like they keep attacking it.
so
Yeah.
have extra.
So
Oh,
I learned that on the back porch, and we tried different tapes, and none of that worked. So when we done the dog barn, actually what I done was on the seam, I took half-inch thick or half-inch long screws, and where the seam is, I put like 4 inches underneath of like a clear sealant, like a silicone. And then I let it come out the end, and then I got as close to the edge as I could, and I screwed it like every 4 inches. So I mean, it looks like stitches going all the way down. And then
yeah.
I put the silicone on top of each screw, and like you can't
Nice.
even use a knife to get that seam to come up. So
Because if they see one little
yes,
Oh my God.
piece,
And then
that's
they're
what
compulsive. They're compulsive. So that just one little tear and they're like, yes.
that's the
yeah.
And then
spot.
And when there's 10 of them,
Yeah.
when there's 10.
I'll tell you what, man. I
But
like the sound of the rubber above it just as much as any of the rest of that,
mhm.
because uh, it's kind of my opinion that hip dysplasia really is directly connected to
Environmental, a lot of it,
puppies being able to
absolutely.
get their weight on top of their feet.
Yep.
Swimmers,
Yeah,
Yeah, traction
yes.
is crucial.
it's so
Crucial.
crucial, man. I think especially in the first 10 days of life. The
Oh yeah.
first couple weeks, man. That
When they
that
start
puppy
moving,
that puppy does the
exactly.
splits like this, slipping out from under, over and over. That's man. That's
Think about the whole movement system, the
Hmm.
joints, what the hips are
Yeah.
doing, like as they're sliding out. That's
Adam
norm.
asked if
Like
they're a pain
no,
to
that's not
clean.
normal.
So Adam, yeah, if you get stuff underneath of it, it's going to be a pain to clean. So the way we done it, we ran it up the walls about 3 inches, and then that's the
Yeah,
hardest part is like when you go up the walls, you get to that corner, you're going to have like a round
That's that
spot
seam. They have to
where
get like really, really,
yeah, so
really
you got to kind
grotesque.
of do some ingenuity and do like little side cuts and fold it and get a nice curve in there, and then just
Gotta get
silicone it, and
creative.
as
Use,
what
long
we
as
use
you
done.
your
silicone
geometry class that you
Yeah,
as
that you
long as
took
you
in high school.
siliconed underneath it, you could use those like aluminum, 1.5 inch, 2 inch wide strips that they do when they like they do entryways to doorways and stuff like that.
oh
You
yeah,
can get long strips of that and screw that down. As long as it was sealed together underneath, you could probably use that and do that on the walls too, I bet.
yeah, you could. So
Mhm.
what we're gonna do on the walls is we're just gonna do the it's called rat guard. It's like a little elbow bracket of like tint metal. We're gonna
hell yeah.
silicone that all the way around, and then when we run our metal barn siding, it's just gonna sit right on top of that. That way the water can't go up behind it.
Hi.
Love it. And when y'all get that barn behind y'all's, I love what you're doing, but that's
Oh
just
yeah,
gonna magnify like that. And for it to be 50 feet
yeah.
behind your man, it was meant to be. Like I can't wait for it, man. Like
Neat.
I am your fan. Like after tonight's show, like hey,
I can't
respect.
wait. I'm not looking forward to the cost of laying concrete, but I'm definitely looking
Uh,
forward to it.
yeah, concrete's never fun.
Yeah.
But man, when you lay that concrete and when you put all those kennels in it and get it just like you want, you're gonna be like,
Yes.
this. I've been envisioning it every day when I go outside looking at this
Yeah.
barn.
Once it's done, it will be definitely worth the wait. Guys, I think
Yes.
my
Hey,
phone might die. It's charging dropping, even though I've got it plugged in. I don't know what the
Yeah.
heck's going
Oh no, I hear you. I hear you. We should probably let some people off the hook. I know that some people are probably getting ready while they're listening. You got
we came on early tonight to make it quick, but like tonight's
obviously not
live,
our
like
forte.
went long, but no, and it's because it was natural.
Yes.
Like, man, this very share this live. Everyone that's
Yeah.
watching, share the live, rewatch it, share it to your friends, send it to your friends. Like, man, again, tell us who you are, where you're at, how we
Brad
contact you.
the Beard Williams on Facebook, Bando Bullies. We are located in Kokomo, Indiana.
Are
I
you
can
are
dig it.
you
I can dig
Bando
it.
Bullies on Instagram and TikTok?
Yep. Bando Bullies on Instagram and TikTok. And we have one on Facebook. We just never use it.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. Like,
You got a new follower tonight. Like I will definitely. I am following you. Like I love tonight's dialogue.
Look at,
man.
look,
Absolutely.
look at Jerry James trying to
Absolutely.
instigate, man. He's like, we have zero plans. Jerry, now we'll go
Don't
to
you
midnight
say.
now. We'll go to this man's phone dies. You know we will.
I don't have any plans either. We're gonna
Jerry,
go outside right at midnight, and we'll probably shoot a couple hundred rounds off. That's what we do every year. But
Oh,
Jerry's looking at your beard. Jerry is like
Jerry is
sizing your
probably
beard
low
up.
key
I
eyeballing
guarantee
your
right
beard.
now.
He's probably, yeah, I don't know. Have you ever had the opportunity to meet Jerry James?
I don't think
He's
so.
from Oklahoma.
I don't think
He's
so.
got this
Jerry's
luxurious,
got so much
glorious.
beard, he don't even see other beards. I'm just
I
telling you.
mean, just, it's the
And he's like,
thing.
sorry, I just got out of the shower. I didn't. It's all fluffy. I didn't get to put
Yeah,
this.
his beard
I
was
didn't get to
literally
put the
like
conditioners in it.
SpongeBob underneath, like big. It was a giant square of beard under there. Like, golly, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Jerry Jones.
The beard
buddy,
game,
man.
the beard
All
game is
respect.
strong with that man. So it's always really fun when we have somebody on who also has a very, very, very nice beard to just kind of battle of the
His
beard.
is like below the bottom of the chest. Like
Oh,
it's
it's
Santa
Santa
Claus and
Claus.
then
Like,
some.
He'll sit there and
Yeah,
fluff
I
it
can't,
with his arm.
and then
Like, I'm
he'll
I can't
like
sorry.
catch
he'll
up.
be
I just got out
talking
of the
and he'll just
shower.
randomly he just how normal people they'll brush their face or they're twirl their hair whatever. That's just he does this.
Dude can cross his arms and tuck the beard under his arms for sure.
Jeez. I thought I was doing good by
So
covering
much.
my eyes with my beard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
you know,
beard.
He said, but you got a good one though. Yeah, Jerry's a
yeah,
great
it was
guy,
caught
man.
in his waistline a couple times, Jerry. I saw it caught in his waistline. I had to
Right.
correct him. Like, Jerry,
Bro,
it's in your
untuck
belt.
your beard, bro. Really?
Y'all like it. But
Oh, does anyone else have
yeah,
any
so
questions
I
tonight?
mean,
Like, I enjoyed
yeah.
tonight's
I
live
did too.
very much so.
Absolutely. It's been a real pleasure, Brad. Thank you so much for being willing to come on, especially considering, what, you've endured, recently. We wanted to celebrate you as well as, learn more about you. So we definitely appreciate you, coming on here, being transparent, sharing everything with us and being willing to do so without any sort of hesitation, and that takes a lot of bravery and it takes a lot of honesty. And so we really appreciate that about you, sir.
Yeah,
No
man.
problem.
There's a lot of good breeders out here, a lot of bad ones, but it's been a while since I had one inspire me, man, and really impress me. I mean, you impressed me tonight. That's a fact.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
Sorry
Like, all
about your
respect,
loss,
man.
man. I know that was tough, dude. I know that was tough, but it's really cool to see what y'all are building and your vision. Caleb gets on me all the time about my vision. Vision's a big deal, man. You gotta have plans. You'll never get anywhere if you don't know where you want to go.
Yep.
So
You got to have some kind of goal at the end sight.
that's right.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
right, man. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Good live.
But,
Good live. The three of y'all respect
Thank
and
you.
love this live.
Thank you guys, everybody. I had a blast. It was a good live.
Yeah, it was. It was
Yeah.
enjoyable. Well, y'all have a phenomenal New Year's, and don't do anything I wouldn't do. Leaves it
How long
leaves
is
it
that
pretty open.
list?
Yeah, right.
That
That's
leaves
right.
it open,
open list.
way
Right,
too open.
right.
And it's not even that, it's open to interpretation.
Right. Don't do anything
Yes.
Amanda wouldn't do. How about that? It's a little better.
No, I don't think that's
No,
what
not better.
All right, y'all
Yep.
have a good night. Be safe.
Happy New
Good night.
Year's,
Happy New
everybody.
Year's,
Stay
everybody.
safe.
Yeah.
Get you a
Happy
sober
New Year.
driver if you're out.
Yes,
Yep. Be safe.
DDs. Get
Everybody be
safe
safe
forever.
tonight.
Thank you guys. Happy
Yes.
New Year to everybody.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Peace.
Here.
You too, man.
Bye, guys.